Morning, boys and girls. It is I. I am back. Cheers. My coffee's warm. My coffee's rocking. Ooh, it says bad stream. We're not receiving data fast enough. Hey, did you cool things? What number were you? Hello, fourth. Woohoo! Bit of lag. Ooh, yeah, it says the stream's bad. I'm on the fast latency though, or the low latency, super low latency. G'day, Andy. Ev's here. Hello. Put my coffee in the chiller. What? Oh, on the coffee chip. Okay. I'm confused. Brian's here. I thought you weren't making it, Brian. Bad timing. Peter's not a number. Peter's an individual like everyone else. Crazy whoops. Okay, everyone's... I'm gonna... Yeah, hi to everyone. Gregor, Michael... Whoa. Sounds like it's echoing. Oh, it could be. Maybe my speakers are on. Hang on. That sounds a bit weird. There should be no sound coming out. That's bizarre. Wolfgang's here. Ibrahim. Sanjay Giri. Okay, if I missed anyone, I'm sorry. I'm not going to scroll back up again now. But hello, everyone. It is great to be back. I am good, thanks. Akmaldo Research Center. Wow, I got my... Too far away. I need to readjust my screens. Too far away. Hey, Paul, I made it. I made it there and back again. Let's go to... Everyone, get ready. Brace yourself. Brace yourself. Ugh. Hi. How's that? Excuse the cable. That's just going to my camera, which is plugged in, mainly for audio, although I can switch to my desktop if we need to. No, not just in time. The stream's going to go for a while, I think, so... Well, it's all good. So how is everyone? G'day, Mike. Wow, my coffee's really hot. I'm going to burn my mouth. Sorry, I didn't make enough coffees for everyone. Oh, pretty tired. 2.5 hours. What? No, let's not go for 2.5 hours today. Not been sleeping well. Didn't sleep at all much on the trip, and I haven't been sleeping since I've been back, probably. Fans of the BBC series The Prisoner will recognise the quote. Sorry, haven't seen it, Peter. Oh, hello. Berger is here. Berger was on the tour with us. I'm good, mate. How are you? Settled back in? I have not. I have had a really wacky last few days. Never seen you drink coffee so fast. Travel fatigue, I guess. No, it's not fast. I mean, there's still plenty in there. I just burnt my mouth, actually. Hello, Sebastian. Hey, Alex. Oh, you're on top. I saw you before. And Dave Darko. Hello, Just Dave. Yeah, I need my coffee this morning. My body clock is just way out, and I just haven't been sleeping well. I think I worked out last night that I slept... So, I don't know how long the trip was. Left Friday morning, got back Sunday morning. And in that whole time, I slept about maybe 20 hours for the whole trip. So, pretty knackered. Oh, knackered as in tired, not knackered as in castrated. But anyway... yeah, and then my sleeping habits have been pretty bad since I've been back, so if I start talking a bit loopy today, you know why. Back to work, huh? Sorry to hear, mate. I had a productive Monday. I built my Rev 5 Tiny Pico, but then I've kind of trailed off since then, and I've been doing just editing videos and stuff, getting all my stuff from the tour together. I've got a cool video coming out on Monday. Brian slept 20 hours in the last 2 days. Wow. But you've been a bit sick, right? Bit sick. G'day, Chris. No, I'm not doing BGA next. Stop pushing. Pushing me. So, as many of you know, and I'll get started soon, people are still popping in, hit 2,000 subs while I was away, which is super exciting. I think I'm sitting at 223 at the moment. Keeps jumping up and down. Combined question with Michael. What were you explaining and those other folks? So that was me. We were talking about the drilling and the milling. There was 2 machines there. So the factory we saw with PCBWay was mainly a PCBA factory. They've got 3 different factories, I think. 3 or 4. G'day, Gavin. And so the one we went to was mostly PCBA, but they had some, it could be like overrun areas where they were doing first part drilling for PCB manufacturing and also final milling where they were cutting out the PCBs. So I think in that video, in that shot, I was pointing out the milling machine when it was milling up the different PCBs and separating them out, I think. And oh yeah, so that particular machine was showing the so it was like 1, 2, 3, I think it was 5 machines all doing the same thing with all the different the different mill bits. Then I was swapping them in and out. So yeah, I was just going through that. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. It was a really great tour because there were many times where there was a lot of really knowledgeable people on the tour. From all sorts of things, from people running their own businesses that had their own manufacturing, to people that already manufacture overseas, to people that were looking at manufacturing overseas. Some people really strong in mechanical stuff, some in electronics, some in electrical. So pretty much every factory we went to, there was someone in the group that was able to, help everyone else, explain stuff to people, which is really cool. How can we clone any PCB? I don't know. What do you mean by clone a PCB? What did Gavin win? Good morning. Was Gavin a runner-up in something? Greg, I think in that one, yeah, I know a bit about how PCBs are made, so I would have been explaining something there, but there were plenty of instances at different factories where people explaining stuff to me, so it was really cool. There was just a really awesome bunch of knowledge, and we were stuck together the whole trip, which was really exciting. We spent, I can't tell you how many countless hours on a bus together, and then walking around factories together, and meals and stuff. My partner won 2nd prize in the Instructables Hello. Oh, wow. Awesome. I must have missed that. I didn't... Yeah, we'll talk about the internet in China later. But I didn't get to see a lot of social media while I was away. Hello, Neffers. G'day, Josh. There was a lot of knowledgeable people. There was one guy on the group, Paul, who was... just an amazing guy who just knew everything about everything. And not like... knew everything like a smart-ass everything, but actually knew everything about everything. He's got his own company that he's been manufacturing products from. He's got his own production line, like PCBA production line, and such a smart guy. And we were just all sponging off him. It was just amazing. Really, really good. Hello, John. Okay, we keep talking about how do we clone any PCB. I have no idea what you're talking about, Sanjay. So for those that don't know, this is going to be pretty informal today, so I'm happy to just answer anyone's questions, as long as they are not, how do you clone a PCB? And yeah, because I don't know the answer to that question, or don't even understand what the question is, so just going to keep it pretty informal. Happy to answer any questions that anyone has, and talk about the tool, and talk about all sorts of stuff. You saw me eyeing a P&P in that video you posted. Which video did I post? Andy, you have to remind me. Hello, David. Yes, you made it. Yeah, you'll have to remind me. It's all one big blur. I was eyeing a lot of P&P machines, let me tell you. I'm very much into I saw an amazing P&P machine at like an incubator accelerator that's run by Zowie, and I couldn't take any video or footage in there, unfortunately, and it was the most amazing pick and place machine I've ever seen. Well, we can talk about that in a moment when I finish my coffee, or have some more coffee. Abundance in real, any future plan to buy a pick and place machine? I would love to buy a pick and place machine. I have my eye on a few different options. I just don't know if I can justify it. Yeah, I saw your question, Daniel. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff going past. So the markets were nuts. They were insane. It was just so many different buildings full of floors and floors of stuff, and some of them were kind of a little bit more open, where they were kind of like little shops, and some of them were just little stalls, and it was just packed in. And it was information and sensory overload. There's a lot of duplication. There was a lot of trying to work out where to buy stuff from. You know, you see the same stuff in 20 different stalls, and you don't know where to go. And of course, no one speaks English, and trying to negotiate was a real struggle. You know, a lot of pen and paper, and WeChat has a translation ability, which is pretty cool. So that helped. There was also a few people had these devices where you could push the button and you talk into it, and then you let go, and it says it in Chinese, and then they push a button and they talk, and then you let go and it says it in English. It was pretty cool. I tried to find one to buy one and I couldn't find one. So yeah. This was a hint. Chinese clone Sion and sent the clone back, asked him questions to recognise him. What? Chris, have you been drinking? I was surprised that you most during your visit, not specifically tech related, could be a general thing if you like. Oh, what surprised me the most during my visit? Shenzhen's just an amazing city. It's, you know, the centre of Shenzhen, of where we were. I mean, Shenzhen's massive, like in terms of an area, but the centre where we were is really like modern, like where all the market stuff are. Just the architecture was fantastic, and great restaurants and great nightlife, and really pumping. So I was quite surprised at how progressive it was. Yeah. I'm still processing. Like, I've still had too much information in my head. It's going to take a while to still go through it all and process it. If I've missed anyone's questions, just re-ask them. Because, yeah, it's all going past quickly. Yes, I know you don't drink, Chris, but I thought maybe you started. It's weird not to have access to Google. Wasn't ready for that. I had to use Bing. Well, we all set ourselves up with VPNs while we were there, and although the VPNs went up and down all the time, which was really frustrating, we did have access to Google, and I used my roaming on my Telstra mobile phone, so I just put international roaming on and paid for that, and then I had full access to pretty much everything when I was over there, on my mobile anyway, but on my computer I had to VPN in and out, and it kept dropping in and out, but it was good enough. Like, there was no way, I managed to watch a little bit of video when I was there. Couldn't really get on YouTube easily. It wasn't fast, so I couldn't have posted anything if I wanted to. And to be honest with you, I didn't have any capacity to edit stuff. I was perpetually tired the whole time, so I just didn't want to post random crazy videos on my channel that I regret later. Yeah, don't be jealous. Anyone can go to Shenzhen. Just do it. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't tell you not to be jealous. That's yeah, it was pretty amazing. I definitely want to go back. I want to go back and just, maybe spend another, 4 or 5 days there and do things a bit slower. I felt like I was always rushed, and that's not the tour's fault. Well, the tour was packed in. It was non-stop every day. We had some downtime, but it never felt like enough, like some, free time where we could go to the markets and stuff. But by the end of the week, I was still completely lost. I'd walk into a market, I'd walk into a building, I'd move around the floor, I'd go up a level, and I'd be completely disoriented, and I had no idea where I was. I had no idea where the front door was, where the back door was. Almost every building had multiple escalators on different places, and you suddenly you think you're on one escalator and you're on a different escalator, and then you walk out the front and you're in a different building. And it was just completely, it was, I can't explain it. It was just, it was a rabbit warren of buildings attached to each other. And then there were different buildings that we gave them names. Some of them actually had official buildings, like there was an LED building. It didn't just have LEDs in it, but there was, at least a couple of floors with full-on just everything LEDs. So like you'd go into the LED building and you'd walk around, and then you'd come out and you'd be in a different building. You'd be in the, I don't know, whatever building. So it was, yeah. I've got a little bit of footage of that coming on Friday in a video. Yes, lost in Shenzhen. I felt like I was lost. I felt disoriented all the time. But once you go back out on the street, you go, oh, I know where I am. But then you go back in a building and you're looking for something, and then like... So the place I got my my first bunch of caps, my passives from, and yes, I didn't buy enough passives. Greg, I did not buy enough. I need more values. Yeah, I couldn't find it again, and I had to get someone else who found it with me the first time to meet me out the front of some buildings and take me back to where I was, because and it turned out I had walked into a completely wrong building. It was really confusing. I found it extra confusing. I don't know, it could be my age, I could be getting old. I didn't bring the book, Ev, but Vella had a copy of the book with her, and people were passing it around and reading it, and I was already reading the Hardware Hackers book. Excuse me. Benny's book as well. So there was a lot of information. So Andy that was with us, Andy Gleam, he was on the tour last year. So he obviously, was helping Vella out and, could guide us a lot of places, and there was a bit of knowledge there. Plus we had Timmy, who was our translator. She was with us the whole time, which was great. And we also had Joe, which is, Joe is a, how do we put it? He works as pretty much a program manager, a project manager, that he works for a whole bunch of different companies, both in China and outside of China, and helps them coordinate projects and production and stuff. And he's awesome. And so he was also helping us on the tour and talking to about stuff and showing us around. So we had a lot of people on the ground that, had great English that was helping us, but generally people in Shenzhen don't speak English, or not very well. But they're all really friendly and willing to try, except at the markets. They pretty much ignore you. You often, they'll just be sitting there playing a MOBA at their little stall, and you'd walk up there and you'd try to get their attention. And like a few times I had to wait till they finished the game before they talked to me, which is a bit weird. But it's a completely different culture there. Like, it was really easy to go there and put my values and my perspective on things, and get frustrated when people didn't want to negotiate or talk to me or refuse to sell to me, because it happened a few times. And then, but I had to kind of change my thinking, because it's a different culture, it's a different way of life, and, so like I went to one store, when I was looking for my caps, I went to one store, and we were negotiating on price because everyone negotiates it of reels of 1,000, in quantities of 1,000. The reels don't come in 1,000, but everything's priced on 1,000. And he finally gave me a price, and the price was like 3 times what I ended up paying, by the way. 3 times. And then when I agreed to it, because at that point it was still cheaper than what I could buy from here, or, anywhere else. And he had the values I needed. And then at the end, he refused to sell to me, because I wouldn't buy lots of 100,000. His 100,000 was the minimum. So he did all this back and forwards negotiating, which was really frustrating. It took about 25 minutes for him to even understand what I wanted, and then refused to sell to me. So, yeah, it was a bit demoralising, and this was near the start of the trip, the start of my markets, and, and I felt like, great, I'm going to, not be able to find what I want, and every experience is going to be frustrating like this, but it was okay. I found a really good place to buy from. So, yeah, MOQ, everything's MOQ, minimum order quantity. That's all they care about. And if it's too low, see you later. And that's everything. The factories are the same. So what you do in the markets is because everyone wants to sell lots to you, right? People don't really want to sell one. They will. So the trick that we were taught was you ask for what it costs for, what the minimum order quantity is, and you get a price for like 100, and then you say, okay, what's the price for one sample? and you tell them you're buying a sample, and often they'll sell you a sample. So yeah, that's kind of how you get around not having to buy lots of them. Yeah, well, yeah, everything's got a minimum order quantity, but you can get around it. Tell them you're buying samples. Yes, that's what I just said, Greg. Yeah. And it's still, people wouldn't necessarily sell to you. Or they just didn't have it. People were willing to make stuff as well. I spent a lot of time there trying to find QFN programming adapters, like my QFP ones. Like, you know, these things. So I've got lots of QFPs, but finding QFNs, the QFNs are really expensive. Or the ones that I found online, comparatively. So I found some, but they were the wrong pitch or the wrong size. And there was a lady there that was willing to get them made for me, which was great, but it was a week. I had to come back in a week, and we were leaving a couple of days later, so I couldn't do it. So, yeah, I mean, I took a whole lot of cards from stalls at the markets, but I wouldn't expect to be able to negotiate with them remotely. We had WeChat with us all the time, so we were obviously connecting with people. So, like the place I bought my passives from on Reels, I went back and bought a whole bunch of resistors as well. I've got them on WeChat, and they're willing to sell Reels to me and send them over by Express Post, which is pretty cool. So all those AliExpress sellers just buy MOQ. No, they also, interestingly, okay, so it's quite a complex scenario. A lot of the stalls, some of the stalls are representing factories, so they're the actual representative of. Some stalls are just buying a bunch of stuff from factories and selling it, and they'll chop and change what they buy and sell all the time. Some stalls are fairly permanent in the market. Some stalls are only there for a month and go, or 2 months, and then they disappear. A lot of stalls swap products, like someone will go to a stall and say, I want to buy this, and they don't have it, so they'll go to another stall and get it off them and sell it to you, and then they'll work out their own thing after. It's quite interesting. So you never really know, like, often, I'd want something and they'll say, okay, cool, it's in my warehouse upstairs. And they'll go and come back and they'll have the product in their hand, and I don't know where they got it from. They could have got it from a different market stall. They might actually have a warehouse somewhere. You don't know, but as long as the product is what you asked for, then it's fine. Ni hao. Hey, Mindfully Retro. Someone asked about how much Chinese I learnt. Not very much. Shishi and ni hao, and that's about it. So, yeah, because we spent most of our time with English-speaking people. Like, we were on the tour all the time. And as I said, our Timmy, who was, our guide, she was speaking English all the time, and Joe was speaking English. Hey, Tim. So the markets were really interesting, but the truth is, you're better off buying from AliExpress. So the markets are not cheaper. Some things, maybe, depending on what you're buying, but, so there's two prices in China. There's the Western price and the local price. And even at the markets. And you never get the local price. It's not going to happen because you don't look like a local. And you can't communicate like a local. So, and you can barter. And some will, not barter. You can negotiate. You can haggle. God, I can't even think of the word. And not everyone will. Some people go, no. And some people, yes. So you can try to get a better price. Hello, Michael. Local yoke. Local yokel. I thought there was an exclamation mark. But at the end of the day, you're better off buying from AliExpress, honestly, if you can wait for the product, because you don't necessarily know what you're getting in Shenzhen. A lot of things you just can't test. You don't know if it's going to work, especially if you can't test it back in your hotel room or something. And then you get no buyer protection, where at least with Ali you get buyer protection. And a lot of the people at the markets are selling on Ali anyway. Like, you walk around and they're on the computer and they're taking orders and they're packing stuff and shipping stuff, and you don't know where it's going to. It could be going Ali, it might not be. But, for me, buying stuff from LCSC is still makes way more sense. I know what I'm getting, and I can search through stuff, and there were some things I bought, obviously, from the markets. That's another reason why I didn't come back with a lot of stuff from the markets, apart from the fact that I didn't want to buy consumer stuff, or just, I didn't need to come back with lots of LED panels and stuff I've already got, like, you know what I mean? You couldn't send your guide in to negotiate as a local. No, because there was 14 or 15 of us, and yeah, like, and she wasn't with us when we had our free time, and that wouldn't have been fair. And yeah, so yeah, we didn't do that. What did I miss? Negotiators, it gets deep from what I've heard. What do you mean, deep? I don't know. Dribble is very good to go there for parts if you want to evaluate by hand, meaning buttons. Right, so there were stalls that had just hundreds of button types, for instance. They'd just be all on display in little things, and you could just look through them all and buy that way, sure. So for things that you don't have to worry about whether they work or not, whether they need power, you know, things like ICs and stuff where you just don't know if they're going to work or if they're even the right thing, that's you got to be careful of. But stuff like buttons and connectors and stuff, there was hundreds of stores all selling the same stuff, like pre-made cables and everything. And yeah, for things like that you can buy. It's great, but it's a very expensive trip to go and do that. Hello, Mr. Watts. Sume Microscope. Did you visit Sume? No, I didn't. I don't even know who Sume Microscope Seller is, but there's a lot of microscope sellers there. A lot of people with microscopes like mine, a lot of people with the camera ones. So think of any category that you can think of, like microscopes, and then in one building there could be 20 different places you can buy them from, all with the same type of product. And then there are 9, 10, 12, 15 buildings, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? And then each one has 20 stalls. Like there are hundreds of places that you can go to buy the same thing. And like the issue is, where do you stop? Where do you stop and negotiate? Where do you think, you know, if you're really wanting to get the best price, you might have to go and visit 10 different stalls and negotiate with 10 different people. And that takes a lot of time, especially, and when you're limited for time, it's just really hard to do that. What did you see on the tour? Okay, I'll get back to what I saw on the tour. Yeah, lots of kids running around, lots of families. Yeah, it's a very family, like a lot of like families will own a stall, and there'll be kids there, and there'll be, you know, mum feeding the kids, or, you know, mum sitting there breastfeeding or with a bottle while dad's packing orders while kids are playing. It was pretty crazy. What were the other people on the trip like? Were they all makers? Oh, that's okay. So wow, lots of questions. If I missed them, I'm sorry, I'll try to come back. So the people on the tour were, yeah, everything from business owners in the hardware space, like people who manufacture and sell products. Like one guy, Paul, he makes products for, like electronics products for cranes, for monitoring cranes and, you know, big things. So they actually have their own in-house engineers, their in-house production line, pick and place machines, reflow and all that type of stuff, laser cutters, and they actually build all of their stuff locally. And he went there to look at either manufacturing some stuff overseas or just buying more hardware, and I think he ended up buying new production line stuff and everything while he was over there. So that was his focus. There were some people, so like a couple of people who were, or one girl who just finished a medical engineering course, and she was there to, you know, learn more. There was, there are other makers. There were people like startup people who, you know, in the hardware space. Everyone, it was all focused on hardware, either mechanical or engineering, but melding. So the mechanical stuff was still, you know, for hardware and electronic engineering companies. So the focus was very much about the electronic side, and so people all had that background. And there was just an amazing bunch of knowledge in the group. It was really, really good. No, I didn't meet Scott from Strange Parts. I think it's Scott, isn't it? Right, the Strange Part Microsoft. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't looking, Michael, directly for them. There was stacks of stuff. Some things were quite harder to find. You'll see in my video on Friday, I only saw one stall that had reflow, you know, the T962s and whatever else, which was kind of bizarre. I expected to see a lot more of those. It took me ages to find a seller that had all of those. It was just, can I tell you, like, I was, on the last day, so on the Saturday, we left Saturday night. On the Saturday, I was walking around the markets, and I ran into someone from the tour group who was going somewhere, so I thought I'd just walk with them. And they went to buy something at a stall somewhere, and when I got there, I realised, hang on, I've not seen any of this. Like, there was this whole floor and building that I hadn't even walked into yet. And I'd been there for a week, and I'd walked around the markets for like four or five different times, more, actually. There was just so much stuff that I didn't see. Like, I'm sure if I spent another week there, I'd find other parts of the markets and buildings that I hadn't even walked into yet. It was crazy. Hey, Leo. Okay, what did I miss? Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was super cheap, John. Like, yeah, pogo pins. You know, and especially if buying in bulk. Like, like buying bags of stuff, like connectors. Like screw terminals, you know, the ones that lock into each other. You know, you got the one you solder. Chris uses them. The one you solder the board and the other bit that connects, that you connect the wires to. Can't remember what they're called. They, like, there were stores that just had every single variation of those, and you walk up and you buy them in bags of 100, or, you know, like 50 of one end and 50 at the other end, and that was really cheap. You know, they worked out to like, you know, like 50 cents a connector or something, where they're really expensive here to buy, or very hard to source the right size you need from Ali, for instance. G'day, Andy Mouse. Got a few, what? Did they sell 3-volt filament LEDs? I didn't actually see any filament LEDs. There might have been. I didn't spend a lot of time in the LED area, to be honest with you, because I'm a bit over the LED stuff. Although I did spend about half an hour negotiating with a company trying to buy some SK6812s, and they finally worked out what I wanted and brought over. I wanted like 2 reels of 1,000 or 2,000, whatever, however many they come on a reel, and they brought out this reel. I've never seen a reel this big before. It was massive. There was 9,000 LEDs on a reel. Now let's see if I can get it. The reel was about this wide. This big thing, and it was still in its, you know, silver packaging. And they finally, I think they found what I wanted, and they opened it up, and they were white, and I asked for black, and they go, oh, sorry, we don't have black. After half an hour, the first thing I wrote down was SK6812 5050 black. Right? And at the end of the negotiations, they said, oh, sorry, we don't have black. Like, and I walked away and thought, this is too hard, and I stopped looking for LEDs. There's a sense to say the things you design to people. If so, how did it go down? Yes. We spent a lot of time in the bus together, and even some of the factories we went to. Oh, someone asked about what was the day-to-day tool like. Ev asked. I'll get to that question in a sec. So yeah, we were all kind of showing each other what we're working on, or talking about what we work on. And I had my Rev 4 Tiny Pico with me, because I wanted to obviously speak to some factories about manufacturing. And yeah, it was, I think people were quite shocked at the size and scale of it, and which is pretty cool. It was definitely the extreme end of the electronic stuff that was being worked on. Other people, you know, other people were working on more commercial type stuff where they weren't trying to shrinkify and whatever. There was a few PCBA people I spoke to, and I showed them my board, and they were kind of shocked that I did it by hand, because they wouldn't put that through a production line by hand. Oh, they'd have to go, you know, through machine. Sell them any reflow masters? No, I didn't sell any reflow masters. So the tool was, so Ev asked, what did you see on the tool like day to day? So there was a range of factories we went to. It was everything from designing cases, so like, you know, mold creation, manufacturing, everything from like proper, you know, scene actual metal molds that do injection molding, from, you know, like where you're talking about $15,000-$20,000 to make a mold, to silicon molding type scenarios where it's much cheaper design. So everything from mechanical, where you were building cases for products, to PCBA companies and PCB design, like we went to PCBWay. So PCB manufacturing, PCBA assembly. We went to Zowie. I didn't get any footage, not allowed to, sorry, no photos, no footage. We went to Zowie and saw the production line. They were building phones, which was nuts. For those of you that don't know, Zowie is a massive tier 1 manufacturer in China that manufactures, I can't even pronounce it, Huawei phones, whatever they are. I don't know which other phones. They're like a stack of different phones for different companies. So everything from that went to LCSC and checked that out. We went to Sway, which is an Industry 4.0 company. They do. Xiaomi, David. No. Xiaomi is the company. Xiaomi is a phone. Zowie, the company, ZOWEE, something like that. They're the manufacturer. So, what is Industry 4.0? Okay. How the hell to mention somebody? I don't know, Leo. Sorry, you're trying to mention me so I can see your question? If so, sorry. Yes, I got some footage in LCSC. I was the only one that was allowed to take footage or photos. Yes, there was a few people annoyed with me. But yeah, I managed to negotiate to do that, and I'm putting together a video that I will have maybe out next week. It'll be a fairly short video, and I need to run it by them first before I submit it. Which is fine, that was the deal. But yes, I will have some footage from LCSC. Now I am completely... Okay, what is Industry 4.0? So, there's different tiers of manufacturing in China. If you consider like a tier 3 type... Let's talk about PCBA. So PCBA, a tier 3 company, is a company that assembles mostly by hand or has very limited automation. But it's much cheaper, less reliable, you get what you pay for, right? Where tier 1 is like a fully automated assembly line with really good inspection and you get really reliable results, but you pay for it, right? They're the different extremes. So Industry 4.0 is it's kind of the next evolution of automated production, and what Sway are doing, let me just, let's see if I can find it. Let's go to here. Sway. I can't remember. Is it IE? I can't remember if it's IE or EI. Oh, almost spilled my coffee. Here it is, Sway. So Sway are a company that are automating as far as possible. They're trying to make it... They want to be able to go PCBA from... So what you do is you create a counter line, you upload your Gerbers, you upload your BOM, you hit a button, hey Leo, test, it worked. You say order, and within 3 days you'll get your assembled PCBs back, assuming that they can source the parts in time. They're about automating the whole process from start to finish. Not removing people. There's still obviously people on their line, but they're, like for instance, their procedures are... So one of the longest things it takes to do on an assembly line, an automated assembly line, is swap out all the parts. Like load all the feeders. So you're going from one assembly to another assembly, and it can take up to 2 hours to swap all the feeders out to set up another manufacturing run. With a manufacturing run, might only take an hour to build. I mean, their machines can place like, 60,000 parts an hour. No, they're not targeting Kickstarter campaigns. They're targeting anyone. Like I can get my tiny picos done through these guys, and I might actually do a run through them. They're all about really fast, so they can swap out their assembly line in less than 20 minutes, which is pretty amazing. And they're aiming for quicker. They're aiming to be able to eventually ship boards, build source parts, assuming the parts don't have to come from overseas, like DigiKey or somewhere. Let's say they have their parts in stock, to be able to take your designs. If all the parts are in stock, build your boards, tested, and boxed, ready to ship back to you in a day. That's what their aim is, which is insane. Like a 1-day turnaround for PCBA assembly. So that's Industry 4.0. It's about improving the processes and getting it as really streamlined as possible. Swee, Chris? Yeah, they're amazing. We went and visited those guys. Very, very impressive. Not only do they have... I don't even know if, what have they got on here? I don't know. Not only do, there's about us, see what there is. Okay, I've said that twice now. I'm just quickly scrolling, just 1 second, I want to see if there's any pictures. No. Not only do they have an amazing production line, but they have, like all their storage, they actually built their own custom storage solutions. They've, I don't even know if I've got any footage for it. We'll get to the footage situation in a moment. So they built these racks for reels, right? And the racks have all got sensors on them. And they literally type in a code, they say, oh, I need this part. And this light flashes where the part is, and you pull it out, and it scans it out automatically for you. And then when you put it back in, you can put it anywhere, and it rescans it back in again. Like, it's all automated. Like, I mean, obviously a person has to pull it out, but they're finding parts for loading stuff and everything. Like, these racks, they look amazing. Like, I can't begin to tell you how schmick they looked, right? They're actually selling them. Like, I think Samsung are buying the racks off them now and using them. Like, everything about their factory is just futuristic in terms of how far they're pushing, you know, the automation process and making things, you know, as streamlined as possible. So next is using robot brings my parts. Yeah, I don't know about robots. I'm not sure that would help them a lot. People are faster. It's just a matter of making it easy for people to find stuff, you know. Like, a person coming back and having to find the right place to put a part back is a waste of time. Right? You should be able to put it back anywhere, and the system knows where it is, and it can tell you where it is the next time you need it. And that's what they're working on, stuff like that, which is amazing stuff. What did I miss? I wonder how steep the cost is. Oh, it's not expensive, Peter. That's the key. They're not expensive because their process doesn't make them more expensive. Their process makes them cheaper. You know, so a lot of PCBA lines, I apologise if I've said PCBA assembly lines. I know it's I'm saying assembly twice, whatever. A lot of the PCB assembly lines charge you a setup. And the setup is because it takes them hours to set up their machines for a run. Like, you know, quite often it might only cost you $1 a board to make a board, but it's going to cost you $1,500 to set the line up. Where, you know, they're trying to eliminate that type of stuff. So it's pretty crazy. The downside to all these places are they'll only buy reliable parts, which means they'll generally only source from places like Mauser or DigiKey, which from a timing point of view isn't a problem because DHL is massive in China. So, like, getting parts from DigiKey to China is very quick and very easy. But you're paying a premium because you're buying your parts with DigiKey costs, even though they get, you know, a better rate, potentially, for the parts, because of the amount they buy. But, you know, you might be able to, like, you can supply your own parts. I could order boards from them and, like, order finished boards from them and tell them I'm supplying my parts, and I could buy them all and get them shipped to them, and they'll use those parts. The downside is everything needs to be... So the other thing is with them, which is amazing, is you don't have to supply full reels to them. So long as you supply enough that they can load it into their feeders, it doesn't have to be a full reel. But it still means that if you're doing a short run, you still have to buy enough parts that it'll fit on the feeders with the wastage that happens on the feeder. So obviously if you think about a reel, let me just switch back to full screen so you can see me with my hands. So you think about a reel, right? When the reel's in the machine and the feeder's like really long, so it's pulling parts here, hang on, it's pulling parts from here, and that's the closest the grabber can get to the reel, then you've got this much wastage parts, right? So there's always wastage. You need to make sure that you've got enough that you give them. What's amazing about these guys, I'm pointing back at my screen but you can't see the screen, is they, as far as their CEO is concerned, their minimum order quantity is 1. Right? As far as they're concerned, they will do a PCB run of 1 board. it'll cost you. But their argument is their process should be so good that it doesn't matter how many you do. Realistically, the production guy that we were speaking to says, look, you know, ideally we want a minimum of 10. See you, Burger. We just called him Burger. It was just easier. Have a good day at work, mate. Yeah, so realistically they'd want to do 10, but 10 on an automated production line is amazing. Like, that's, you know, you go to a tier 1 and they won't talk to you under 1,000 boards. Hello. The help. Station for Xeon, the import limit is 1,000 AUS. What? China has import taxes, so shipping them the parts may not be cheaper. No, they get around that. Yes, there are import taxes. No, I won't ship them the parts from Australia. No, what I'm saying is, for instance, I like all of my Tiny Pico. Okay, now. Ooh, I've got some swag as well. I'll talk about that in a sec. So all my this is my Rev 5 Tiny Pico, by the way. Sorry, the camera's not even straight. Rev 5. Woo! All my Tiny Pico parts, except for the antenna, come from LCSC. So there is no import. I'll just order from LCSC and get them to ship them to Sway, both in Shenzhen, right? Actually, what I did before I left was I ordered a whole bunch of parts from I ordered boards from JCL PCB and a whole lot of parts from LCSC and had them shipped to my hotel. And so, like 3 days after I got there, all my stuff for Rev 5 plus a whole bunch of other things were at my hotel waiting for me, and I just brought them back in my suitcase. So yeah, I don't have to worry about importing. I wouldn't buy and then send it from Australia. That doesn't make any sense. Then I'm paying shipping twice. But generally, a lot of companies wouldn't, like some companies buy direct from LCSC, but most of them will buy from DigiKey or Mauser. It's amazing how many of them buy from DigiKey, just because they know what they're getting, and DigiKey stock a lot of stuff that you just can't get in China necessarily. Hey, by the way, folks, you see that? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Sorry, I had to do it. Anyway, back to full Xeon. Ooh, my coffee's getting cold. Do they offer a list of preferred parts? Yes, so all the manufacturers have a list of preferred parts, but you can supply your own. And if they can't, so what you do is when you're sending a BOM to these places, you say, you know, here's my BOM, these are the parts, this is specifically what I want. If it's something that you want a specific model for, and then things that you don't care about, like they can be generic, you just say generic. So like I want, you know, it's a 10 microfarad cap, 0805, 10 volt, 10% tolerance, I don't care what brand. So long as it's, you know, a good brand, you say general, and they will find the right part, whether they've got them in stock or they'll source them however they need to. But if it's a particular thing like my antenna, this is the antenna model, I need this specific part, if they don't stock it, they'll have to go and get it, and that massively increases the lead time. So you always want to try to use parts that the assembly house use or have in stock, or it's on their preferred list. But they won't give you the preferred list. None of them will give you the preferred list of parts ahead of time, which is a pain. So you can't provide them a board that already has the right parts on it to suit them. But what they will do is they'll come back with a version of your BOM that says, look, these are the parts we would like to use instead, because this is what we have in stock, or this is what we're comfortable using, and then you get to decide what you want to do. Sorry, got a bit of indigestion this morning. Is it time for a Tiny Pico Kickstarter? I will not be Kickstartering it. I thought about doing a crowd supply. Kickstarter's, nah, it's the wrong, I think Kickstarter's the wrong place for this. But I've been thinking about crowd supply. I don't know. Truth is, I'm making a revision 6. So I'm still not ready. But PSRAM is working on the revision 5. Everything's working on the revision 5. But I am making one more change to the board before I consider going into production. Yeah. No, we're not getting to revision 10. Hopefully, yes. Revision, yeah. Oh, I didn't want to make this Tiny Pico. I really didn't. But, yeah, PSRAM's working. everything's working. So just very quickly, I got a lot of feedback from you guys when I put this together, when I put revision 4 together. The button's gone. Can I get closer? Let me see if I can focus. The button's gone, reset and ground next to each other. I changed the pins up here, ground is in the middle of USB and battery. All the things people were asking for on the last assembly video, I did. How's that, everyone? Woo! So, I'm still not sure about the taking the button off, but anyway. And of course, PS RAM is on the back and it works. And there's a little 0402 cap on there, which I am changing to an 0603. So there are a few little things I want to tweak still on it. One of the things I'm doing on revision 6, which is really important, is I'm putting a cutting trace on the back of the board for the APA 102, so you can literally cut the power off it and disable it for low battery usage. So I don't know if many of you know, but the quiescent current on the APA 102 is up to 1.3 milliamps, sitting there doing nothing. Very hard to make a low power board when the APA 102 takes 1.3 milliamps. That is nuts. So I'm putting a ability, let's say a jumper, a solder jumper with a trace already on it, so you can cut the trace, and then you can also resolder it if you want to turn it back on again. So it's a pretty important thing to put on the board, which I wasn't aware of, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't investigate it more in revision 4, because I could have had that on revision 5. I'm also putting a bigger cap in here. One of these 4, or one of these 3 caps, there's 3 here. This little sucker here is a 10. Well, I need it to be either a 22 or 47 microfarad cap, and I can't get those in an 0402. So I need to respace this out and put a 0603 there. Yeah, 1.3 milliamps is brutal. Yeah. So the new APA 104 is that's 800 microamps. So there's a little bit of a saving there, or is it 300 microamps? No, it could be 300 microamps, but it's a completely different footprint. It goes back to the 4-pad, no separate clock footprint. So I don't want to swap out and change that. Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, so like this is pretty much done except for that jumper and 1 cap. So the reason I need to switch this cap is the new LDO I bought to put on here, which has got like a 5 microamp quiescent current. It browns out with the Pico when it initializes the Wi-Fi antennas. I need a bigger cap to prevent that, and I can't get a bigger cap in that space. So that's a bit of a bummer. So it's going to revision 6. Technically I could ship revision 5. I just, you'd have to pull off, if you want to go in battery mode, you'd have to pull off the APA 102 if you wanted to make it last for a long time. But yeah, anyway, enough of Rev 5. This is not about Rev 5. Okay, question. Definitely looks about as small as it could be. Yes, it's not going to get any smaller. I was thinking of making it bigger, but anyway, I won't. So yeah, while I was over there, I was talking to production companies about manufacturing, and so Joe, the guy I mentioned earlier, who is a project manager there, he works with a lot of different companies. He is now my project manager over there, I guess. Well, will be if I do anything. And so once I've got Rev 6 built and locked off, I'm going to send him all my stuff, and he's going to still get me some quotes. So I'll go everything from Sui, however you pronounce it, at one end, and he's going to get me quotes for a lower tier manufacturing as well, so I can compare prices. And then I need to decide if I'm just going to build them over there, if I'm going to buy a pick and place and try to build them here. I'm definitely not going to build them by hand. They're just too hard to build by hand. Hard as in just time consuming. It doesn't make any sense to build by hand. Thanks, Peter. And I needed to get the BOM cost down, and yeah, the BOM cost is not going to drop at all unless I do 1,000 boards, and I'm not going to be making 1,000 boards. I wish I was going to do 1,000, but even crowd supplying, I'm not going to be able to get to 1,000 boards, I don't think. Okay, Is there a way to stop that with a low power transistor? No, Michael, because there's no space on the board to put a transistor at all with accompanying resistor for biasing, etc., etc. There is no space. Cannot add any more parts to the board, and I'm not adding more parts on the bottom. As it is, the whole idea of having a resistor on the bottom of the board really irks me. Because I had to hand solder that 0402 on, and let me tell you, that was tricky. I wouldn't want to be doing many of those. What did I miss? There should be a company for small makers to make small batches. Yeah, well, there is lots of them, and it just depends on the price. There's lots of places in China you can get short-run boards made, but it depends what you want to pay for it. The other problem with manufacturing overseas is I need to supply test rigs for them, for whoever manufactures. And it's not just a test rig, I need to supply a programming rig that can also test it. What you can't do on a production line, well, you can, but you might as well shoot yourself in the head. You can't say to a production line, hey, this is my board that I'm making, and this is your testing procedure. Here's a laptop, here's a USB cable, you need to plug the USB cable, you need to load the Arduino IDE, you need to program it, blah, 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 blah. You don't do that, right? You need to, so what I would need to do is build a Raspberry Pi programming test rig that with pogo pins, for instance, where it's literally, you put the board in, you push a button. That's all the production line can do. You push a button, and the button tells a Raspberry Pi to program the firmware on the board and then run a whole lot of tests and then show a green light or a red light. And if it's a green light, the board passes. If it's a red light, the board fails. And if the board fails, preferably some way of knowing what about the board failed. Right? Now, that in itself is going to take me weeks and weeks and weeks to design. Plus, I'd have to build at least probably 2 of them, if not more. And I need to supply those to the factory so they can test them. So, being able to build in China and maybe get my building costs down to like a couple of dollars a board compared to, how long it takes me to build these things, and having it automated, which means it's reliable build, is still going to be an expensive process and time-consuming process for me to provide all the extra stuff the factory needs. Like, what I can't do is get 150 boards made and not tested and then sent to me, and suddenly every single board needs rework because they weren't tested properly, right? So there's a lot of downsides still to doing stuff in China. A lot of problems I need to solve. And I can't see my first run of tiny picos, if I do manufacturing in China, to be something that I can do remotely. I'd need someone on the ground, and most likely me on the ground, for my first run, to really be able to work out how the testing is going to work. So did you cool things? There could be a Rev 5 or Rev 6 Shenzhen trip video, maybe. Maybe. Did you discover any new components that I haven't seen? No, I didn't. Because I really wasn't looking for, obscure stuff. So I'm just talking and not breathing. The markets are just too overwhelming to try to really spend time hunting new things down there. I'm sure there were lots of things. I mean, there were plenty of things I'd never seen before, but that's nothing new. There was just stuff I hadn't used. There were just, stalls with hundreds and hundreds of different types of ICs that I've never even heard of, or stuff like that, or, there were some people selling new sizes of LEDs that I hadn't seen before. Both single color LEDs like surface mount or RGB LEDs, really bizarre shape stuff, but, I don't know how new they are because I haven't really been looking in that space. So there might be some crazy stuff there and some new stuff, but nothing I saw, nothing I was really looking for, to be honest. David Watts is great at soldering SMD. But I don't know if he's going to want to be soldering 0402s. Sen will use the found out prices for manufacturing to explain that he needs a pin machine to us and his wife. So firstly, I don't have to explain anything to my wife, right? Yaz does not. I don't need to ask her permission to buy a pick and place machine, just to be clear. So what I'd really like to do is go and buy the Neoden pick and place machine, which is between $12,000 and $15,000 Australian. That's what I'd like to do, but it doesn't make any sense because I'm never going to be able to build enough product to justify the cost ever on doing that. So I'm never going to sell enough product to justify the cost of doing that. And yeah, but the nice thing about that, for those of you that know, let me see if I can find the Neoden. For those that don't know what it is, lots of videos about it on. Oh, that's Europe. Let's go to these. Okay, doesn't matter. I'll go to the Europe one. That's on a stand. This is it here. So, what's good about the Neoden is... Let's see if we can get some better pictures. There's a picture of it there, for those, if you can see. So, no, I don't want a 36 VA. If I was going to get a pick and place, I'd want the Neoden, and let me explain why. So, I could fit. So, firstly, it's got its feeder system is not cartridge-based feeders, which is really nice. So, and it's got, is it? I can't remember. Is it 24 or 48 on each side? Whatever it is, there's feeders on both sides, and I worked out that I could put every single part I ever use for pretty much anything I've done so far and still have some extra space. I could fit all loaded onto this pick and place at once. I'd never have to do a swap out. And this section here, sorry if you can't see clearly, is all ad hoc stuff. So I can place chips, I can place anything that doesn't fit on a reel, can place down here. And I could potentially build any board I wanted one at a time, or 10, however, whether it's panels or individual boards, I could build on this thing without ever having to swap out any reels, which is super important because any type of cheaper pick and place machine, oh, and it does all the way to 0201, right? So I'm not doing 0201. I might in the future, who knows? I definitely don't want to do it by hand. But the fact is, this can do 0402 super reliably, really close together, like what my board's got, without any issues. I'm not going to get that on a CHMT 36 at all. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to place my 0402 parts this close on that model pick and place machine. I'm definitely not going to be able to place it on a light placer or on a cheap pick and place machine. So, apart from the fact that this is super expensive, which doesn't make any financial sense for me right now, especially because I might only sell 20 boards. It doesn't make any sense for me to buy a cheap pick and place machine that's not going to do what I need, or that's going to end up taking more time for setup each time. It just doesn't make any sense. But then again, manufacturing myself also probably doesn't make any sense either at the moment. The truth is, I went to China to try to find out if I'm going to manufacture in China or do it myself, and I came back still undecided. I came back with options for manufacturing in China, which I didn't have before, and I came back with options for doing it myself, which I didn't have before, but I still haven't decided which way I want to go, which is super frustrating. Super frustrating. So, yeah, that's probably what I'll do. And this is let me just go back to this picture again, sorry. So this is a conveyor belt, so you can automate this. So you could automate it, the board comes in and then does it, and it could go straight into a reflow machine. They have a separate reflow machine. Yeah, and this is really reasonably priced. Like, I gotta say, I mean, for what you get for this machine, it is extremely reasonably priced compared to other pick and place machines. Like, for how do I put it? Yeah. For, like, this is production line. This is small production line pick and place. Like, tiny production line. But, you know, the other stuff they make is, you know, like, as I said, the conveyor belt reflowing, conveyor belt solder dispensing. Yeah, I could set up a whole production line using, you know, their machines if I wanted to. Yep. 0201 and basically sorting fly poo from Pepper. Yeah, pretty small. But this has, what are we talking about? Leo, what has advantages? No makerspaces around me has any pick and places right now. So the CCHS, which is my closest makerspace, they're looking at getting something. Actually, no, someone donated a pick and place to them. They haven't got it yet, or it's not set up yet. But it's not going to be able to do 0402, I don't believe. So yeah, having my own pick and place would mean I could do technically I could put any board in this thing and just run it because all the parts on there. It would mean that I'd have to start buying a lot more stuff on reels, which isn't necessarily a problem because things like my my regulators or my battery ICs, like I'm happy to buy them on reels because they're things I'm gonna reuse in the future. I wouldn't want to necessarily buy. I mean, my Pico D4s I wouldn't buy on reels. I'm not going to be able to buy enough of them to do that. But I can put them in the ad hoc section. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the right direction to go, and I haven't decided yet. And I'm not going to decide in a hurry because I am not going to run out and spend $15,000 or $12,000 right now. Join a makerspace. I took the plunge because of your ideas. Cool. Yeah, everyone, if you've got a makerspace near you, people, you should join or at least go visit. Even just to be around other like-minded people and find out what they're doing and learn. Makerspaces are great. Did I miss any questions? Haven't heard the crow. Oh yeah, there was just a crow a second ago, Andy. I think I heard something. Either that or it was a child. Someone. So, speaking of children, my daughter's going on school camp today. Her first school camp. Very exciting. And I'm missing drop-off for camp because I'm on my stream, which is kind of sad. So I hope you have a wonderful time, Ollie, on school camp. I've got some news for those who... I'm going to announce it here. No, I'm not being paid for this. So LCSC, for those of you that buy from them, and if you don't, maybe you will now, this time, have just launched a Black Friday deal. So this is, again, this is not sponsored. But you all know I love LCSC and I buy a lot of parts from them, and the whole JLC PCB and LCSC combo is awesome. They are doing free global shipping for 3 days, I think. Yeah, November 21 to 10 AM, November 24. So if you buy $20 worth of parts, you get free airmail. So that's slow mail. And if you pay $200 worth of parts, you get free DHL. So for those of you looking for parts that haven't used LCSC before, you should check them out and do their free shipping thing. They're no clones. They're all... Brian, thank you, mate. That was unexpected. Wow. Only 11,995 to go. Right, okay. Thank you. So Brian's contributed to my pick and place journey. Okay, thanks, buddy. Yeah, anyway, I wanted to announce the LCSC thing because it's pretty cool. It's so I normally wait to ship parts with my PCBs so I can obviously share the shipping costs. But this is a pretty good deal on shipping. So for those of you that haven't used LCSC, do it. This is not a... Yeah, this is not a paid promo. I just... they let me know that the deal was coming, so I thought I'd announce it here. They also do just deals on different brands. Anyone want some inductors? I'll tell you what's sad though. Look at this. Pico D4. Check this out. Very sad. Out of stock. Boo-hoo. Out of stock. My Pico D4s. I am going to have to maybe buy 1,000 of them from Espressive because I don't know where else I'm going to get them from. You can buy them in DigiKey, but they're expensive. So, yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to find things on their website. You got to dig a bit, and they don't stock everything, but their range is getting bigger and bigger all the time. So I do have a video coming for LCSC maybe next week or so. I don't know when exactly it's going to be. But they're about to move into this new office. This is not their factory right now, but that's what their factory is going to look like. This massive new factory they're moving into, 10,000 square meters. So they've got 3 different factories, I think, at the moment. It's definitely an interesting setup, and so you'll have to wait for the video, though. I'm not going to talk about it now. I don't want to give anything away. Someone asked me about, what was that? Daniel, I'm going to be broke now. I have my entire list of things I wanted from there. About £100. Well, there you go. If you do it, you might get, you get free shipping. If you spend £200, whatever it is, you'll get free DHL. John asked, have you actually talked to a salesperson? They're willing to talk reduced price. Right, so the reduced price is 12. So Paul, who was on the tour with us, he was negotiating prices with them. He's thinking of buying one, and he got them down to about 12k Australian. So that would be the cheaper price. They're normally 15. So yeah, which is pretty good. You know, $3,000 off. I don't think my channel is big enough that they're going to give me more of a discount, and they might not even give me that $12,000 price. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. You know, so I can get Paul to introduce me, and you know, I can deal with that if I go there. But I don't think I'm going to get any change out of 12,000. Yeah, the LCSC got great pricing. Great pricing on all the Asian suppliers, and even pretty good pricing on non-Asian products. Just keep in mind that if something that you're buying is something that normally comes from DigiKey, you know, like, you know, then it might actually be cheaper to buy from DigiKey. If you're buying enough to get free shipping. The LCSC need to poach whoever wrote Farnell's search. Yeah, their search is sometimes a little bit hard to find stuff in. They also sell a lot of different products. Yeah, they need to use Farnell's or DigiKeys. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. Yes, Brian's been buying up big. Have you bought from LC without a JLC order, or is shipping prohibitive? I have, and I paid for DHL. So shipping's prohibitive in terms of the fact that you have to pay for DHL, for international shipping. So it's not like buying from Ali, if you want to just order directly from them without the JLC combo. That's why the free shipping deal is pretty good right now. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Is there a Discord we'll dwell in? I don't want to start an Unexpected Maker Discord. There's already so many other Discords. Make Me Lad has a pretty good one. And I'm also on the Adafruit one. But I'm not going to start a new one. Because it's just another place off the channel for people to, you know, yeah. Another thing I need to jump on and monitor and chat on, which just prevents me from getting work done. Right, 80 Tiny 85s is a good example, correct, because they're a, you know, a microchip product. So you can buy microchip products from LCSC, but they have to bring them into the country from America, or buy them from the same place. You know, they buy them from the States and bring them in. So things like that will be cheaper to buy off LCSC. The DHL pricing is not really atrocious. It's the same as everyone else's from China. That's just the cost of DHL from China, unfortunately. So it's atrocious, but no worse than other people. Right, microchip obviously manufacture overseas and have stuff all over the world, but you're still buying from an American company, right? So you're still technically buying American prices, or however it works. You know, you can't go to the microchip factory in Taiwan and buy product. You know, you got to buy from microchip. DHL is way cheaper on Banggood. I've never done DHL on Banggood. I don't know, to be honest, Michael. Yeah, there are a lot of other places to get PCBs done. So, like, for those of you that don't know, JLC PCB just changed their pricing. twice. They discounted a whole bunch of stuff now, which is really good. But they no longer do the free penalisation on their $2 US boards anymore. You need to pay for penalising if you're going to penalise, so that's a bit of a bummer. How was the food? Yeah, someone also asked me earlier how the food was. The food was interesting. So, there's no wastage in China, right? They eat the whole animal, no matter which animal they're eating. You have to be very careful when you're ordering food over there, unless you're eating Western food. So, I think LCSC's bot is trying to talk to me. Oh, hello. Yes, it is. Let me go off that. So, there were a couple of times where we were served things that you'll just wait for my Friday video. But the food was great. Really, really nice. Really good. Like, it's a very progressive city. The restaurants are great. I mean, you can get pizza, Mexican, there's KFC, there's McDonald's there, there's all sorts of stuff like that, right? But their local food is really good. You just need to, pig trotters is nothing, mate. Just, it's a lot of offal, a lot of, And some people on the tour were game to try stuff, but I was not. Daniel saved his battery issue. Yeah, the food was great though, really good. There was only a couple of times that we ate Western food. Most of the time we were just eating local, whether it was most of the time it was just on big round tables with the Lazy Susan with just food coming out all the time. You could pick and choose what you wanted, and I ate a lot. Excuse me. You don't realise because you're eating bits and pieces at a time, you don't realise how much you're eating. And I definitely overate while I was there. We did a lot of walking, but I definitely went up a pant size or two, I think. Chicken feet, that was very tame. Like, I didn't eat chicken feet, and you could get them cooked all sorts of ways, but there was way worse stuff. Just, I've got some stuff in my video on Friday. You'll get to see. But the food was good. The whole trip was fantastic. The tour was fantastic. Vela, who organised the tour, just did a fantastic job. We got a really great cross-section of all different factories. And just the group of people, just a great bunch of people. Both, fun, friendly, knowledgeable. We had some really good laughs. Had a really good time. It was information overload. Like, it was packed in tight, and obviously because it cost money to be there and go there, and we couldn't have really. I mean, it would have been nice to maybe do a 2-week tour. Might have been too much. It was really full on, but it was great. As I said, like, I'm still processing. I'm still kind of going through all the information, and it was absolutely sensory overload, not just from the market's point of view, but just everything. Chicken feed. Chicken feed or feet? I don't want to eat chicken feed. I think you meant chicken feet. Hello, Paul the Curtains. Mr. Brain's pork faggots are my favourite. Yeah. Daniel likes offal. Yep, no offal for me. Not going to happen. Unexpected hurl. I didn't hurl because I didn't eat it. I think I'm to blame for charging panels under $2. I penalised a lot, Chris. I don't think you're to blame. Look, I didn't realise it wasn't a special, like, it was a promo that's disappeared now. And I confirmed with them that it's disappeared, which is pretty sad. But they've got other specials coming in too. So they shop and change all of their specials all the time. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with next. Yeah, 500 pieces for $2. That's yeah. I mean, just the milling time alone on that. Oh no, the V scored. Anyway. Yeah, so they dropped their stencil price a little bit. They've dropped their board prices a little bit, which is great. So JLC PCB is still the cheapest option for boards, by far. But yeah, just their penalising thing is just a bit of a bummer. What are you going to do? So we went to PCB Way, and we got a pen. Yay! And we got a little ruler, and it's using their matte black with their gold, and it's a really nice ruler, let me tell you. Their matte black PCBs are just beautiful. JLC PCB don't do a matte black. I actually thought about doing my final run of Tiny Pico boards from PCB way, and doing them in matte black, but just it really adds to the price. So I don't know. Weird, looks brown. Yeah, I think it's the reflection of the gold and just the lighting, warm lighting, but it's definitely black. And I have to say their their silkscreen quality has gone up considerably. They've really improved that if you look at how small the silk is. Yeah, PCB rulers are awesome. What? Dave's going? Gotta dry some chairs. Ah, that's weird. See you, Dave. Thanks for joining. I did actually buy some other stuff while I was there, which I forgot to mention in my video the other day. I bought a laptop backpack, which is pretty cool. It's in the other room. And I got my kids something, actually, which are very cool. Okay, so this is a product I've never seen before, if you want to talk about product. Jimmy, I'll go get one. Wait here. Back in a sec. You're back. Sorry about that. So I found these. So this, I guess, asking about new products. I don't know if these are new. I've never seen them before. So these are little, oh God, can I get further? Yeah, I can. Good. So these are like little tablets, but they're not electronic. There's no batteries. But, if I can get it out, you get a pen and you can write on them. They're like LCD technology, and you hit trash and it clears it. Andy's got one of those. Okay, so other people have seen them. I haven't seen them before. So yeah, I got these for the kids, which are pretty cool. These were $5 each, and I could have negotiated, but I didn't because I only bought 2 of them. Yeah, I don't know how they work. They're magnetic? Okay. So yeah, I got a green and a blue one of those. So there you go. I did buy some more stuff than what I showed on the video. I totally forgot to include these in that video. So, hi. Put that away. Put the pen back in before I lose it. So my kids love those. Go back to full Xeon. So it's a high-speed Etch-a-Sketch. Yeah, basically. It's so my kids like writing on whiteboards and stuff. So this is just another cleaner way. They don't get black ink or coloured ink all over their hands. LCD writing tablet. Yeah, it looks like LCD. I'm not sure exactly what it is. There's something on the side here. Oh, maybe there is a battery in there. Okay. Let me just switch back to... Hadn't noticed that. Just here. That could be a little battery slot. There's a screw there. I'm not going to open up now though. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, button cell there. There you go. Thanks, Peter. Didn't even notice that before. So great, more batteries. We go through a lot of batteries here. They're like $20 on Amazon. What? Oh, I should bring them in and start selling them. My coffee's still mildly warm, mostly cold. Had a lot of explaining things to my boss. I won't need one. Yeah, they're pretty cool, I gotta say. I mean, the contrast on them isn't fantastic. Like you know, they're not super bright the way, but they're, you know, and you can't really see them in the dark. Speaking of dark, why do I look so dark? What is going on here? playing around with the camera a bit. That looks terrible. Wow. I should put that back to what it was. Anyway. My nibblings, nieces and nephews love my whiteboard. I don't know why. Yeah, kids love whiteboards. I love whiteboards. They're just really messy. And my kids always leave the texters with the lids off on the ground. Bright windows behind. Got a link, please. Linked about $10 on AliExpress. Or €10. That euro or pounds? One of those. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, that was my trip. It was, I can't say it was inspiring. Like, I didn't come back inspired. Yeah, what did I come back? And I can't say I came back motivated. Because I came back tired. So, you know, being tired definitely messes with the motivation a little bit. Oh, Peter posted a link. Awesome. Trying to think what else is there to tell. What other things did I see? I didn't do any sightseeing. There were a few people that did. I came back cultured. Oh, I'd been to China before, so it was my first trip there, like mainland China, and I've been to Hong Kong a few times. But well, yeah. So we visited some makerspaces. We visited Hacks. I couldn't really. I took a couple of photos and a quick video there, just in there for you, but we weren't allowed to video anywhere else because a lot of confidential stuff happening there. I visited. We ran into this girl at a shop, and she was talking to us, and her English was quite good. She's Chinese, but she lives in Germany at the moment. But her English was great, and she was asking us about what we were doing and stuff, because we were all wearing Hardworks t-shirts, and she asked us if we knew about Troublemakers, which is a makerspace. Let me see if I can bring up their website. Whoosh, almost knocked off my coffee again. Troublemaker. Wow, what is it called? There it is. So we also visited this makerspace. So there's a guy, Hank, who from the Netherlands, I believe. He started a makerspace in Shenzhen as well, which is pretty cool. So we visited quite a few maker areas, and then there was another one where Joe, no, go away. How do I close that picture? That's annoying. Oh, there's a big close button. And the place that Joe works, he also is at a makerspace. Oh, see you, Brian. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the £5. Was it pounds or euros? I don't even know what the symbols are. I'm on my way for my pick and place. So yeah, so we got to see 3 different makerspaces, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, they've all got their own, weird twists on the type of people they have through. Some of them have long-term people there, some of them have short-term people. Hacks is more of a accelerator, incubator type makerspace where you have to, where they like invest in product. That's how you get into their thing, where obviously Troublemakers is just a makerspace that you can rent space in and use the facilities. So that was pretty cool. So we saw makerspace stuff. And clear. They also have colour ones. Black and clear over a coloured background. Oh, cool. I didn't see those. Maybe I wasn't looking hard enough in China. Yeah, so there was a full spectrum of stuff that we saw. From factories to makerspaces to accelerators, incubators. Like Zowie themselves have a a new, I think it's called Shenzhen Ventures. They've got a accelerator as well for startups to come through to get their products. So, generally it can take 12 to 18 months to get a product to market, from initial concept all the way through to manufacturing and getting it actually out the door. And so there are a lot of accelerators in Shenzhen that are designed to shrink that 18 months or 12 months of that 18 months down to like 3 months to get your products to market much faster. And all of them kind of work as, investment, like venture capital investment, or, either they supply funds or they supply facilities to get that process working faster. So it's all pretty, exciting. None of it really specifically relevant to me, but it's great knowledge to know. Definitely if I had a product, like a commercial product that I ever wanted to build, there's a lot of options in China to reduce the production time and risk to get it to market quicker. Pseudo color version. Let's have a look at these pseudo color version. New window. Oh wow, that looks pretty cool. They're just different background colors. Wow, look at that. $16.22 US. It's pretty big though. They had bigger ones in China, but this is a great size for my kids, because I didn't particularly want to get the bigger one. Right, so they're just different coloured paper behind it, whatever it is. What did I most dislike about the trip? The toilets. Yeah. So obviously it's all, pretty much squatting toilets over there. And squatting toilets are fine. I understand that it's probably better for you in that position when you go to the bathroom. But it wasn't so much the squatting, it was just the state. The state of them was just pretty bad. The cleanliness of them. And the... what's the right word? Some of them haven't been maintained, or... I'm not talking about cleaned, just maintained. Like some of them clearly had been there for 50 years or more. So that was a bit of a, there was a lot of us holding it in for long periods of time. Waiting to get back to the hotel or getting to like a restaurant or somewhere where you're more comfortable going to the bathroom. And if you consider that, quite often we were on a bus for like an hour or 2 hours at a time, going like to a factory, like 2 hours to get to a factory, we're at a factory for a certain period of time, and then we were on the bus for another hour going to another factory, and like it was a whole big day. Like most days we were starting at like around 7:30 in the morning and didn't get back till about 5:30 or 6. You don't want to lose your balance on them, but just like some of them you couldn't even walk into. Even sticking tissues up your nose wasn't enough. So that was that was an eye opener. And it's a cultural thing, I guess. It wasn't pleasant. Always had the bathrooms at the hotel as a fallback, so that was good. So that was the worst part of the trip. But it was a small price to pay. Some of us on the trip have some pretty interesting stories, which I'm not going to repeat. They're not for me to repeat, but like on the bus we heard some pretty interesting stories of some things that took place to do with toilets. But yeah, it was that was pretty grim, but whatever. The other thing is, and I guess I'll never get used to it, it's a cultural thing, and I get it, and I was in their space, and no one got arrested. No one got arrested. But another thing it was really hard to get used to was, people just hucking gorbies in the street, if you know what I mean. The whole nasal in, spit it out, just on the street. Really loud. Again, it's a cultural thing. It's accepted. Everyone does it in China, but every time I heard it, I had to kind of look away or whatever. Like it just, yeah, it was a little uncomfortable. Especially in the markets where it's really tightly packed in and people are just spitting on the floor. It was a bit weird. Ni hao, Paul. So yeah, like, you know, I was in China, so things happen in China the way they happen in China, and you kind of just ignore it or get used to it. So they were probably the two, you know, they weren't negative. I mean, the toilet thing was a bit negative, but you know, they were just being in a different country and doing things differently. So on first impression, would you take your kids? Oh, I wouldn't take my kids. No, I'd take my kids. I mean, they're very family friendly, and they're obviously, you know, family is important there and stuff. And it was, you know, definitely a kid safe place. It's a very safe place, by the way. So you can pretty much walk around. Well, I wouldn't walk around in any really, really dark alleys out of the main square late at night by myself. But just generally, you could walk around at night time. It was very safe, very respectful people. So that was good. You don't do what in Singapore? No, you don't. Another thing that's really weird, you're not allowed to clap in public in China. I don't know what that's about. I mentioned that on my video on Friday. So we went to, on the last night, on the Friday night, we left Saturday night. On the Friday night, we went to a building called KK100, which is the tallest building. It's like 100 floors or something, and we're up at the 98th floor or whatever, looking out. And we did a bit of a presentation, to Vella to say thank you, and you know, at the end of it, we all clapped. You know, hey, well done, Vella, or whatever. And some people came up to us and said, "Whoa, oh, don't clap! You're not allowed to clap. No clapping in public." And we went, "What? Yeah, you can't clap in public in China." I don't know why. Doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, chewing gum is banned in Singapore. Yeah, no. See on full screen. Oh, you want me to go full screen? Sorry. There you go. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, there's no chewing gum on the ground in Singapore, which is pretty cool. I don't know if chewing gum is banned. Maybe chewing gum in the streets. I don't know. Yeah, you don't need to watch AliExpress. Sorry about that. I forgot that it was on there. Even though I'm looking right at it, I wasn't paying attention. I'm looking at the chat. Yeah, so the clapping thing's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe people are scared by the noise. I don't know. Definitely, I like being in different countries where there's cultural differences, but some of them just don't make a lot of sense. Yeah, so we got told off on that. And so, like, there was again, video on Friday, but there was a talent, like a singing competition outside our hotel on one of the days. And, like, the singers were great. Like, it must have been the finalists or something. They were really awesome. And what happened is the singer would sing. There was stacks of people, right? It was booming. You'll see in the video, it was so loud. And they'd finish their song, and there was silence, and no one would clap, no one cheers, because you're not allowed to. It was just the most bizarre thing ever. Like, you know. Oh. I can't explain it. You hear a song, and then it was just silence afterwards, and then the next singer would come up and start singing. You wish they'd banned dog poo. There wasn't a lot of dog. The streets were super clean, let me tell you. So the Shenzhen, or the main area that we were in, was super beautiful and clean. I'm sure the further you go out, the less it is. I think an Australian has a very different definition of dangerous. All the poisonous critters. Yeah. Speaking of which, I found a spider this big in my letterbox yesterday. Ah. Like, that was his leg span. And, hello, Alan. And I took out the spray and he crawled out limping, and then I stood on him. I have no idea how dangerous he was, but it freaked me out. I don't like spiders, I don't like snakes. 12 gauge. What gauge? Had to be careful in Shenzhen as all scooter mopeds electric. So it's hard to hear them coming. No, it's not hard to hear them coming, John, because they all toot. Toot, 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 toot. Everywhere's tooting. tuning. So what's amazing about Shenzhen, I don't know, John, like when you were there last, but everything's going electrical. Like all the bus electric, all the scooters electric, all the taxis electric. They're really pushing the whole electric vehicle thing, which is great. Really progressive. Good to see. I think other countries should step up the same way. Shotgun on spider. Oh, 12 gauge shotgun. Right. Okay, now I understand. I guess you're right about the beep. Yeah, the beep. Everyone's beeping all the time. Beeping. There's so much beeping that happens all around you that you have no idea who's beeping and why, because everyone's beeping. They like their beepers. Dirty Great Big Huntsman. Yeah, it was I don't think it was a huntsman. Might have been. Just the big legs, just really... Anyway, I took care of it. It's all good. Got the spider. The whole lifting the letterbox to stick your hand in there and seeing a spider. Ugh. Wasn't good. What else? Any other questions? Also happy to answer any channel questions if you want, now that I've hit 2k subs. It was amazing. I'm really glad I went. I was pretty uncertain why I was going before I went, and I'm still not sure why I went afterwards, but I'm really glad I went. It was gained a bunch of knowledge, met a whole bunch of great people. So I think we covered the food already. Yes, I had lots of food there. Didn't eat any offal. I don't do offal. When is the Unexpected Maker conference? What? What conference? Chris, how were the women there? The same as the women everywhere. Shorter. I don't know. That's a... Yeah. I'm not answering that question. What die it host? Roughly an order of magnitude. Sorry. What die? What did it cost? Tim, you asking what it cost for the trip? The trip cost me about $6,000, fully inclusive. So obviously airfare, accommodation, pretty much all my food. There's only a couple of times we had to go out and pay for our own food. And then all the tours and factories and everything. I could have got it a little bit cheaper if I was sharing a room, but I didn't want to share a room. I'm too old to share a room. I like my own space. So half a P&P. Yeah, it cost me half a P&P. If you want to put it that way, Michael. You can ask whatever you want, Chris, but I'm not answering that question. I don't know what type of women you like, and so, yeah, I can't help you. Sorry. Okay, someone's birthday tomorrow, and I had no idea. No idea what we're talking about. How was the journey back and home, and was commute a real pain? I don't like flying much, to be honest with you. It's a bit boring, and the seats are always uncomfortable, and I can't sleep on a plane. So yeah, the whole, I wish I could teleport there instead. That would have been good. But other than that, it was a really good trip, really great trip. Any swag? No, not really. I mean, other than PCB Way. I mean, people gave us brochures, factory brochures, and they all gave a nice presentation. We went from boardroom to boardroom. They were presenting with their big screens and stuff. But no real swag. We went to a cable manufacturing place, which was really amazing. And we got to all pick a cable when we left of anything we wanted from their shelf. So I got myself another USB-C to micro B cable, just because I never have enough of these. The cable manufacturing place was really insane. I got some video of that as well, so that was great. Seeing people hand soldering these was insane. Did you get no, another one for teleportation? Yay. So, did the factories take us out for dinner? Not for dinner. We went to lunch with a few factories. I think PCB Way we had lunch with, and a couple of other ones we had some lunch with, which is good. I don't know about how my new project manager is going to charge, because right now we're still in the what he does like matchmaking on factories for free, and then once the factory's found, then he charges I don't know yet. I haven't got to that point. But he's a really nice guy, and I'm sure we'll work something out. So I don't know yet. That's assuming I am going to manufacture in China. Or it depends what I need him for. Like, for instance, if I end up using Sui, I might need him just to go down and oversee something. If I end up using a different factory that he finds, then let me just go back to full screen Xeon. Then there might be more work involved for him. I don't know. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work yet, Tim. To be honest with you, but or if I'm even going to manufacture in China at all. Hello, Oni. Are you the best man ever? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Cable converters are always useful. What do you mean by converters? Andy? I don't know. Any other questions, folks? Any other insights I can give? Have you seen that? Yes, I have. So as I mentioned earlier, the PCB Way tour that we did was for assembly. So it was there was as I mentioned, there was a little bit of PCB creation, but most of it was all assembly stuff. And they had a manual assembly line, they had an automated assembly line. So yes, my coffee is cold. PCB Way are not a tier 1 assembly house. Maybe a tier 2, I guess. They're not as, they're not a... How do I put it? I don't even know what they claim that they are in terms of an assembly line. There was definitely nothing wrong with their assembly line, but it was it wasn't as high tech as I would have expected it to be for a tier 1 anyway. So again, I don't know if they're how they position themselves. I mean, the pricing seems pretty reasonable if you go to their website in terms of their assembly costs, but I don't know what their I don't know how it will, in their case, how it would work with testing boards. I couldn't see any testing on their assembly line, which is a bit concerning. But then again, maybe what they were assembling at the time when we were there didn't need testing. I don't know. Like you'd expect inspection along every step of the way to make sure that things are good the whole way. That's what I would expect from an assembly line. I want someone checking my stencil before it goes into the pick and place. I want people inspecting the pick and place before it goes into reflow. And I didn't see those people on the line at PCB Way. So, yeah. But it could have been specific to what they were actually manufacturing at the time. I don't know. Do you see any wares for sale and thought to yourself, that's wares for sale? And I mean, there was a lot of crap there in the markets, especially in the consumer side of stuff. There was a lot of, what looked like cheapy Chinese stuff, I guess. But, or did you mean, is that what you meant, Nefas? I'm not quite sure. Yes, apart from the toilet, yeah. Was there any new stuff that you saw over there that made you go, wow? There was definitely some pretty high-tech stuff, a lot of like hologram and robots. Like, they're big on their robots. Whether it's the just sitting still like stuff that you talk to or interact with, or moving stuff, like puppies and yeah, the robotics is pretty big over there. A lot of really nice like screens and displays, but I mean, I guess nothing that really is new or that we don't know about, but just seeing it all. So one of the things we went to was the China High Tech Fair, which is a big multi-building thing where they've got everything from consumer and medical products on display to robotics to even military stuff, which obviously we couldn't get into. Yeah, they had some color holograms. Like in my video on Friday, I've got footage of something. But there was nothing like wow. Like I didn't turn around and go, holy moly, I've never seen this before, or I didn't know this existed. Yeah, it's. I mean, we're all kind of in the tech space, right? I mean, we're makers. Some of us might, just be playing with microcontrollers or analog electronics, but we're still all pretty tuned into seeing stuff on Ali or eBay or whatever. So we've seen most of this stuff before, so there was nothing really new and outstanding that made me go wow, to be honest. If you do try to manufacture with Rev 6, how long do you think before you also see it on AliExpress? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, for me to get a proper quote, I need to supply as much info as possible, and that means that they've got my, especially if they're going to be manufacturing PCBs on the line. If I don't do it through JLC PCB, so JLC PCB have PCBA, but it's only for China, only for mainland China manufacturing clients. They will at some point open that up for overseas manufacturing, but they don't yet. So, I mean, that would be convenient if I could do my assembly with JLC PCB, so get my parts, my boards, and everything in the same place. But, yeah, their MOQ, minimum order quantity, is pretty massive because they're only doing large-scale Chinese manufacturing. What about stuff in general that you thought they missed the boat on, or a product that was pretty much worthless? Yeah, I didn't really see anything like that, Nefers, just because I wasn't really looking. I mean, they had a lot of... So, different buildings were kind of focused on different things, although every building kind of had everything, but there was always... there was a security kind of building where a couple of the floors were just full of security and surveillance equipment, which was amazing. There's an LED building, there was what we called a tools building, where there was a couple of floors that was just pretty much every booth or every store was selling tools. But there was nothing, as I said, I wasn't really looking in the consumer space a lot. So I don't know, there wasn't really anything like that I saw. Sorry. Hey Cheetah Kid, did you miss a lot? Yeah, maybe. A couple of hours worth, or an hour worth. Do you think that you wanted to order as soon as you got back? So I'm just going back looking at questions everywhere. No, nothing that I mean, there's a couple of things that maybe I regret not getting when I was there, or that I could have. Every time, David, you go for a bath and come back. The hotel was beautiful. It was a 5-star hotel, no doubt. It was an amazing hotel, and literally, you go down the hotel and there's a Starbucks, and you walk out and you walk anywhere from 10 steps to maybe 200 meters, and you're in the markets. It was incredible. It was a fantastic location, beautiful hotel. Yeah. Hang on, wait. Your answer was much more interesting than my question. Security, how did that work? Security for what? There was no security. Soaks all the life problems away, does it, David? I'll have to have more baths. I generally prefer a shower. Yeah, David, you should be listening to the stream in the bath. You should have a screen set up for that. Yeah, there was a few things I wish I would have got. I know it sounds stupid. I wish I would have got more passives. I don't know why I didn't. I was a bit worried about I had 23 kilos I could bring back in a suitcase, and I could technically bring back 2 suitcases full, but I only had one. I didn't want to buy another suitcase just to pack stuff in. That's a dangerous thing to do, to buy yourself a suitcase just to fill with stuff you bought from China, because then you end up buying a lot of stuff from China you don't need. So I was trying to make sure I stayed under 23 kilos, and I was well under, as it turned out, so I could have bought some more stuff. But I was pretty focused on what I was there to buy. He's one of the makes. Okay. Did what you said, it was weird. What was weird? Did you watch the stream last time in the bath? Yeah, just a tablet, or even on a phone. Although you don't want to hold the phone in the bath, do you? In case you drop it, that'd be bad. So lying in a steaming bath with a beer and a podcast going on a Bluetooth speaker, chilling for an hour in the bath. I think you'd end up with pretty cold water, just like I got pretty cold coffee. I'm going to drink it anyway. Cold coffee's better than no coffee. So one thing I missed from China was good coffee. I didn't drink a lot of coffee there, but actually I only had very few coffees. The coffee in the hotel for breakfast was pretty average. Starbucks is terrible no matter where you go. Would I go again? Yes, I'd absolutely go again. I really enjoyed it. Would I go on a tour again? I might go next year's tour. I might go and help out Vela if she does the tour again. I don't know, assuming I can afford to go. Would I go back to Shenzhen again? Absolutely. But I'd want to go for a reason. I wouldn't go just to hang around the markets again. It's too expensive just to do that trip just for that. The money I save buying parts of the market, I waste getting there and getting back and accommodation. But I'd definitely go back there again if I had the reason to. And if I was going to manufacture there, I'd definitely go there. What? You've dropped a phone in the toilet? I don't understand people that have dropped a phone in the toilet. Yeah, going in and out of Hong Kong means I need to get visas. Back and forwards. It's a little bit tricky. Even though Hong Kong is mainland China now, it's still a bit weird how it all works. Thanks, Tim. Cheers, buddy. I'm well on my way to my pick and place now. Yes. €7. I think it's euro. I can't even see it. Yeah. It's about $10, $12 towards my pick and place. I'm going to put my order in today. No, I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you very much. Good job. See you, Alan. I'll chat with you later, mate. Enjoy your appointment. Andy, yes, you were commenting. Yes, adapters. They had stacks of different adapters and stuff. Having adapters for cables is always very cool, but I prefer to go cabled like end to end rather than using adapters in the middle, especially if I'm plugging microcontrollers in. You always tend to get some potential issues for that. Forgot the YouTube cut. Oh yeah, YouTube take a cut. Of course YouTube take a cut. They take all our monies. Yeah, so that was my trip. I'm super happy to be back. I've got lots of projects to continue with. Did I get any requests for interview or to advertise something Chinese on YouTube? No, not really. Obviously, I'm doing the video for LCSC. That's something I organised with them. I'm not really looking at doing any sponsorship or anything with any manufacturers. I don't like being tied to any specific requirement for my videos. And I'm still a pretty small channel, so I don't think people really cared much. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it, mate. Did I see any cool toy robots? Yes, I did. I've got some footage of some stuff that I saw. There's definitely lots of... What's way hell? What is... I don't know what way hell. Way... whatever. Pouring in fast. I'm drowning in money. It's awesome. Yeah, the toy rollers are great. I didn't buy any, but because I've really got no need for it. I really wanted to get one of those new, was it Vector, whatever they're called, the Yankee ones. The little things drive around, but they're so expensive. Oh, Weihei, P&P, 10201 at a time. Any cool video you took over there? Yeah, I took a lot of video. I took a lot of small clips. So I've got like, you know, probably over 100 clips that I'm sorting through that I'm going to... I don't know how many videos I'm going to make out of it. I don't want to just bombard everyone with video after video of Shenzhen. I've got one coming out on Friday. They're all kind of in like a vlog style. So I was very clear when I went over, I didn't want to spend the trip videoing stuff. I wanted to actually go on the tour and go to the factories and concentrate. And quite often, I even forgot to take my camera out of my pocket and shoot stuff. I'll be honest with you. Thank you very much, Wistomati Aero. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. If I pronounce that wrong, I apologise. Really apologise, but thank you very much. Very generous of you. No, Neffers, don't feel bad, mate. Please don't. I appreciate everyone that's contributing. I really do. Thank you, but please don't anyone feel obligated to do that. Yeah, so there were times where I didn't even take my camera out, where I forgot, or, you know, and obviously a lot of things that we couldn't shoot. Quite a few factories we went to, we weren't allowed to take any footage, which was a little bit disappointing, because they were probably the more interesting factories, as in there would have been things that no one had really seen in a production line before, like in terms of quality, like Zowie. Like Zowie were, not only were they a tier 1 manufacturing line, but they were just insane how many lines they had, how many they were running, and just how well automated they were, and how many people were checking stuff along the way. Oh, is that... It's impossible for a non-Finn to pronounce. I'd love to know how to pronounce it. If you got a nickname, let me know what I can call you as a nickname, because I don't want to mispronounce your name. That's terrible. -1 Yeah, the Vector's just so expensive. Really, and I didn't see them overseas. I would have got one maybe in China if they were cheaper, assuming it wasn't a clone. But yeah, I didn't see them. There was one factory we went to called Sugar, which was a tier 1, which had some pretty amazing stuff. Again, their production line was great. They were, yeah, tier 1. But yeah, there was just, it was hard to take a lot of footage. As I said, some places we couldn't take, and some places we could, and I got some footage, but often I was just busy like listening and watching and doing stuff. So yeah, like I felt a bit bad. I got back and I thought, oh, didn't I take any footage of this or this or this? Oh well. So I'll probably release maybe, you know, 2 or 3 videos for my trip, and that's about it. And I'll just go back to regular watching me break stuff in my videos and live streams. Yeah. So I got a whole bunch of other boards while I was there. See you, Paul. Thanks for joining. Catch you later. Have a great evening. I got my Wi-Fi clock boards, my final revision, which are the wider ones where the screw spacing is all aligned. So I'm looking forward to getting those done and getting those on Tindy. Will be very exciting. And yeah, as I said, I built my Rev 5 and I'm going to move on to Rev 6. And I've got to work out what's next. I don't know. I've got a couple of ideas for alternate versions of the Tiny Pico. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. $300 per person per year is just too much for BF and I to join. Even for one of us, it's expensive. Not sure. What are we talking about? Oh, you're talking about the makerspace. Risto. I was going to suggest Risto, but I wasn't sure. But it's a weird combination of 2 names, Risto and Matty. Thank my big sister for this. Your big sister helped name you, so you can blame her. Risto's cool as a nickname. I'll call you Risto. Salmaki. Finland understands licorice. Okay, I don't know what salmaki is, but if it's licorice, yum. I love licorice. But yeah, there was definitely some interesting robots all the way from really big robots to really small little robots. I think I mentioned before there was like a little puppy robot. Well, it wasn't little, it was about this big and it was yellow. And it had, like, you could move its legs, but it had wheels so it could move around and you could get down on a leg and it could kind of lie over and stuff. It was pretty cool. I don't know what you do with it. I guess for those that want a puppy that don't want to pick up poo off their floor all the time. Hey, Rob. Yes, made it before the end. See ya, bye. No, just kidding. So yeah, that was really cute. Again, I've got some footage of that, but I don't know what you do with it. So, but yeah, robot stuff was pretty big over there, especially at the Maker Faire. Were there any through-hole guys there, or was it pure surface mount? No, there was a lot of through-hole. There was obviously, you know, every production line has an element of through-hole. And most of them were doing, like at PCBWay, for instance, their assembly line was automated, but then for SMD and their through-hole stuff was done by hand. Brewery night clash. Uh-oh. Rob's been drinking. This should be interesting. Everyone start asking Rob questions. Let's see how well he can handle it. So yeah, there was a lot of through-hole stuff. The only one that I didn't see through-hole on was... I don't think we saw anything on the production line at Sway through-hole. As in, they've got facilities to do it. Excuse me. And obviously all the Tier 1 places had proper, like, solder... What are they called? Solder fountain through-hole. So that was all automated as well. Like what Adafruit do. But sometimes, I mean, the manual production lines in China are just very fast. You know, often it's much quicker for them to hand solder than it is to put it through a machine, which is pretty crazy. They definitely got their production lines down to a high quality. Do I see any of the Chinese consoles? A couple are meant to be pretty good. As in game consoles? What type of consoles are we talking about? Daniel. Recent likes, yay. Whose Facebook page? Your Facebook page, Chris? Nice. Yeah, Mark, what do you mean by consoles? You talking about like TV box consoles or game consoles or... I'm not sure which ones you mean. There was stacks of like Android type boxes in the markets of all various forms, shapes and sizes. MVS, AES, and PCE. I have no idea what you're talking about. Cool, everyone go like Chris's Facebook page. Let's see if we can get him to 601. The Instabook. Yeah, gaming. Subzor. Okay, I didn't see any gaming consoles. There might have been a whole different area that I hadn't got to. One thing I found that was interesting, they've got like fake Lego over there. So all the boxes look like Lego boxes. They don't have Lego branding, like they've got their own brand, but it's Lego. But it's not called Lego, which was pretty cool. So yeah, there might have been some gaming consoles there that I didn't see. As I said, I didn't really go around to the consumer space as much. I was kind of staying in the electronics stuff. So you already asked, but did you get any sort of build contracts? No contracts. I've obviously got, you know, I've seen a couple of factories that I can use, Rob. And I've got someone on the ground over there now who I can use as a project manager for production going forward. What is that? I just found something under my... Oh. An IC. So I definitely have opportunities now that I can manufacture overseas if I want to, Rob. It's just a matter of do I want to or do I want to do it in-house. Haven't decided. That's going to be an ongoing question. I don't know. We have quite a few makerspaces here, and So we get some makerspaces inside some of our libraries. So they're kind of government-supported makerspaces. Can't even speak. And then we have other makerspaces that are run by, you know, people or organisations or whatever else. And often we get some council funding for those. Good night, Josh. Catch you later. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I've got avenues to move forward. I just don't know which way to go. And I'm finding that that's super frustrating, but that's, I guess, you know, I'll work it out at some point. There's hurdles to manufacturing overseas, but there's also cost advantages. And obviously, investing in my own production line here doesn't make a lot of sense for the quantity of stuff I'm doing right now. But, you know, having my own facilities here means I can potentially do a lot more going forward. I don't know. I don't know what I want to build going forward. And for those that missed it, that came late, I'm just going to do this again. I have my Rev 5 working. Zoom back in again. If I can focus. Rev 5 with PSRAM, all working. But I'm making a Rev 6. I got a couple more little changes to make. Libraries are run by a charity. That's interesting. Like, we got state-run libraries, so, you know, the makerspaces inside those libraries are not as good as some of the other ones that, you know, that are run by other people. Like Andy, who was on our tour, he was a founder of CCHS, which is the makerspace I go to. Obviously, there's a lot of people that help run it. It's all volunteer stuff. It's a pretty good makerspace. Was a PSRAM fix hardware or software? Oh, it was hardware. It was, you know, I had to, now that I just had to work out what the pins were. That's what all that drama was. All of this rubbish was all working out what the pins were. And now that I know what the pins were, it just worked. And obviously I've got the, you know, I was a bit worried about this because I've got very different signal lengths on my traces because of the routing issues, but it works. Seems to work fine. And I don't think I need this cap. I could probably take it off. I should actually take it off, that little 0402 there that you might be able to see. Just here, just a 0.1 microfarad cap. But it's there anyway for now. But yeah. Rev 6, writing that down, last one, right? My plan is to make it the last one. There's two small changes I need to make. For those that missed it, the APA 102 takes up to 1.3 milliamps in quiescent current, which means when I'm trying to deep sleep the Pico and run off minimum battery, just having the APA 102 on the board kills the battery for no reason. So I'm putting a solder jumper on the back that you can actually cut the trace and disable the APA for if you want to use these in a product that's running off low battery. It just means that you won't be able to use it when it wakes up because obviously it's cut. But that, and I just need to put a bigger cap, a 0603 cap, and I made this an 0603 as well. So just a few small little tweaks, and then I think it's good to go. Needs more blinks. I'm hoping Rev 6 will be the last one. I could definitely go into manufacturing on Rev 5 if I wanted to, but it just means I don't have a low quiescent current in deep sleep, which is what I really wanted for the board. But maybe I can't have everything I want. Our country council wanted to close the libraries because of funding, so the libraries created a charity and took over running them. Wow. That sucks when the councils and government won't support the libraries. That's why you get countries where the population are illiterate, through education and lack of libraries and facilities like that. It's pretty sad. They should be just libraries and hospitals, very important. You don't have any length issues, but more caps are always better. I just bought a Roland guitar synth which is built without 1/3 of the decoupling caps. Immediately thought of me. Yeah, look, you know what? I'm going to have, I don't know if I need the cap on the back, but I'm going to have the pads there anyway, and if I don't need to put one on, I save a cap and I save some hand soldering. And if I do need the cap, then the pads are there. So, and it's the same with this cap here. The 10 microfarad cap I'm going to put here. I don't need it for this LDO, but if I want to use, the other LDO, the new one I got that's lower quiescent current, I need the extra cap there. So, yeah. Well, schools, sure. Sorry, I thought schools were a gimme. But schools where they actually teach you properly. Like our literacy rate in Australia has really dropped, I think. And I think it's dropped, I mean, it's clearly dropped in America. Oops, sorry. Too soon? Anyway, Ref 5. Whoa. Did I miss any questions? Nope. Cool. Okay, well, if we're running out of questions... Oh, no, more, maybe. There was the issue, could only afford hospitals and schools, libraries had to go. That's pretty sad. Hey, lad. So if you already answered it, aren't you afraid they will steal your design? Steal my design anyway. Like, at some point... You know, if I keep holding on to it so no one can see it, then I don't get any gain out of it either, right? I mean, the fact is I'm not worried about them stealing my design, because at the end of the day, pretty much anyone can build this. There's nothing revolutionary about this. I just spent a lot of time making it really compact, right? The fact is you can already buy boards that do what this does. Focus it. You can already buy boards that do what this does, you know, from AliExpress right now. I just happen to build a small one, and it doesn't mean other people can't build a small one. They just have to be motivated to do it. So I'm not worried about people copying it, because people can do this already. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't invented something brand new here. I've just made a really small board. So am I worried about people taking my design files, like, on the same production line and making extras and selling them on Ali? Well, if they do that, I can't really do much about that. But if you know, we spend our lives worried about people stealing our designs, we're never going to make anything, right? A 402 MOSFET time for that LED, double the footprint. Yeah, I can't fit anything else for that LED. I have no space. There is no room to stick a FET or a transistor and biasing resistors there. It just ain't going to happen. And then how would I turn it on and off? You know, I'd have to use another I/O to turn it on and off. I don't want to make it only powered if it's the USBs plugged in, because that means you can't use it when the battery's there. Yeah, you know, not everyone needs super low power. Not everyone's going to want to cut the trace and run this off a battery where they need it to last for months at a time, right? You know, the reason I made this particular version breadboard friendly is I want people to also prototype with it. Like, this is a much more general purpose board than I could have gone, and I might make variations of this once this is in production, whatever production means, where I make versions. Like, for instance, I want to make one that's uses castellated edges, that is like a module where there's no USB on it, there's no serial chip on it, and it can be used to put on other boards. And maybe I'll make one that, you know, is even smaller, for instance, or doesn't have any header pins at all, you know, or it has a different, maybe it's got a Grove port on there and it just exposes I2C or something. You know, I don't know. A lot of different options I have for the board. Any big purchases for Black Friday planned? For me? Not really, unless I can get a Neoden Black Friday for 50% off. That'd be pretty cool. How is MicroPython on SP32 fairly stable? Yes, it's pretty stable. There's a few things still missing, like the Bluetooth stack is still pretty new and unsupported. Like, there's a branch that's got Bluetooth, but I think the main line doesn't have Bluetooth yet still. There are a few things missing, but there are a few things that are there that you don't have with the IDF specifically. Like, you've got proper analog reading and writing, which you don't easily have in the Arduino IDE. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty stable, and they're working on it quite aggressively. But I don't code in MicroPython, right? Which is kind of weird. I should start. My Python's pretty poor. But yeah, obviously the whole push to get the PSRAM on there was specifically for people that want to use MicroPython or that need the extra memory, like, you know, using it for frame buffers and stuff for large displays and things. So yeah, it's definitely, MicroPython is definitely being pushed really hard on the ESP32. Well, I don't want to leave the LED off when I make the boards, like, because I wouldn't want people to have to put them on themselves manually. That's pretty tight in there, and you'd have to hot air it on carefully. So yeah, I definitely want the board to have the LED. This revision anyway, but having the ability to cut the trace or resolder it back together again is pretty cool. I think it's a good solution for the problem where I don't have to make the board bigger just to fit some more components on there. Plus, more components means my BOM cost goes up again, which is frustrating, because it's already too high. Wouldn't a crowdfunded manufacturer run be the best way to get some confirmed funding payback? Possibly. So I think the problem with this board, because it's just a development board, really, right, is in terms of crowdfunding, is I'd need to find an application for it to really, like, I think just sticking this on crowd supply and saying, hey, do you want to, you know, buy these development boards? Yeah, I don't know. I need to put a lot of thought into that. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I guess I'm leaving that decision until I got the Rev 6 and I've got my final BOM and my final board design, and I can get my final quotes from a couple of different manufacturers in China, probably 3 different manufacturers from, you know, tier 3 all the way to, you know, the best I can get, or the easiest manufacturer I can get. And then I'll have a look at the costs and really see what's involved with, you know, what I'm going to do. I mean, crowd supply could also, you know, show me that no one's interested in the board. I guess I'll learn that soon enough. Earlier today, Sion said there's no way the stream will go for 2.5 hours. Yeah, I didn't think it would, but there you go, it did. Lego Scratch. This has the normal, I think, 4 meg inside the chip, and this is a 16 megabit chip. I think they can support up to 16 now, yeah, or maybe even a bit bigger. I'm pretty sure that I can address at least 8 on this, if not 16. So there's a fair bit of memory. Stacks of memory. Stacks more than a normal ESP32 has, a Room 32. Can it run Crysis? Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe Doom. You could run Doom on it. I think people have done that, haven't they? Chip upgrades help a lot. So much analog goodness in the film. Okay, I don't know what we're talking about there. Spice Lady video, MicroPython, CircuitPython was nicely informative. Yeah, I haven't actually watched that yet. It came out while I was away and didn't get a chance. Ooh, what just beeped? Something in this. Something beeped. But yeah, I definitely want to check that out. Yeah, between CircuitPython and MicroPython, it's definitely the whole Python space for microcontrollers is really coming of age, which is great. But yeah, you need that extra bit of processing power, and you need the extra memory for you. I think, like, without the PSRAM, you only get about 100k free once MicroPython's on the board. So having the extra PSRAM is kind of important, but not for everyone. So when I do sell this, however I sell it, the PSRAM will be optional, because people don't necessarily need it. So if you don't need the PSRAM, you'll be able to get the board without it, or you'll be able to get it with the PSRAM if you want. Be interesting to see the spreadsheet for the different prices for manufacturing. Yeah, I'm quite happy to share some stuff once I get it, depending on what I get quoted. What would you do on your next trip? What would I do on my next trip to where? To Shenzhen? I'd probably only be going back to Shenzhen anytime soon if I was going to manufacture there. I'd probably go for the manufacturing run. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, that obviously just makes the manufacturing cost too high, but I'm not sure. it really depends on what test facilities I come up with for the board, how I'm going to do that. So obviously, like, so before I made, okay, let's go back to full screen. So when I signed up to go on this tour, I hadn't even started making Tiny Pico. Like, you know, that whole discussion hadn't even taken place. I hadn't even met Matt Trentini at the time. So my plan for the tour was really just to go and meet some other like-minded people and learn and get some knowledge. And then obviously in between me signing on for the tour and going, Tiny Pico came about, and so my focus, it didn't change. Like, I still wanted to do all that, but another thing I wanted to do on the tour was to find out more about manufacturing the Tiny Pico. So there was a lot of the conversations in my head and stuff I had with people was primarily about, you know, manufacturing the Tiny Pico while I was there. So it was all kind of hand in hand, and the timing for it was quite good. But I still feel like I want to be able to manufacture it myself. Like, I don't know why, because it doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily. But I feel like having the capabilities of doing it myself will give me more potential down the line. But I think manufacturing in China could obviously mean that I could either make more money off the boards or potentially sell the boards for cheaper if I make enough quantity. But I don't want to get stuck with a whole bunch of boards either. So, you know, it's a tricky thing. It's I don't have any answers for any of that yet. Control plus, yeah. If I can do it myself, I have control. I also have the ability to make them on demand. So, for instance, if I had the Neoden, I could literally just make like a board at a time as I needed them, assuming I had all the parts I needed, right? Or I could make 10 at a time. Like, I wouldn't have to commit, especially if I'm going to make derivative boards. Like, if I do end up saying, okay, I'm going to make a smaller module, I'm going to maybe I'll make a bigger board. I'll make something where everything's on the top and I put, you know, maybe I'll make let me just go back to here again. I've got plenty of ideas, but like, if you can imagine a board that was 1.5 times, let me just grab one of these, hang on. Imagine a board that was like this long, not 1.5 times. Even like that, okay? Just a fraction, maybe a third longer, that had PSRAM on the top as well built on, and let's say it also had an IMU, and it had a light sensor that was next to the APA, so you could do things like color sensing and stuff. You know, maybe it had a temperature sensor on there, and let's say it was like still a tiny little board. I mean, that's pretty tiny still. You know, if you compare that to a Pico kit, it's still pretty small. But let's say it was like a Pro board, it had a lot of extra stuff on it. I mean, that would be really cool, right? So if I was amortizing all the parts and I ended up with 3 different boards I made using the same parts, then that would mean I could probably justify buying a lot more parts and getting a better price break. So, you know, if I was doing something like that, then obviously being able to manufacture them myself would be much easier, because otherwise I've got 3 different manufacturing runs I need to do in China with committing to 3 lots of boards of, you know, 100 or 150 at a time. I like the idea of doing it myself, but it's just, I'm not sure I want to, it's going to cost me more than just the Neoden, right? You know, if I'm going to do that, I don't want to be hand stenciling, because that's really slow, and hand stenciling is pretty inaccurate. You know, if every second or third board I hand stencil, I put a little bit too much paste on, or as I lift it up, it gets, you know, there's a problem or something. And I also don't really think I'm going to be able to reflow them in my toaster oven, depending on how many I make. You know, so I don't know what it's going to cost me to fully set myself up. So the best thing about making in China is if you can also ship from China. Right, but I can't ship from China unless I partner with someone from China. And if I'm going to partner with them to do the shipping from China, then that's also going to eat into the cost. So again, that's another problem. You know, how do I ship them? Shipping them from here means I got to, you know, like with all my Tindy stuff, you know, $5 for shipping. Yeah, it's it adds to the price of the board. John says, CircuitPython is to C++, what C++ was to assembly code. Yeah. Yeah, except like don't forget like CircuitPython or MicroPython, they're still running a VM. Like it goes down to bytecode, but you're still running a bit of a VM there. So from a performance point of view, it's still you still need pretty beefy microcontroller specs for that. Unexpected beeping. I think I will check the SWI for my next projects. I've very little time to do small batches. Did I hear your phone beeping, did I? All the way from here, Greg? Maybe. Memory goes up year over year, so Python makes sense in the future for optimized code, but it'll be quicker to program, I think. Yeah, I mean, MicroPython's definitely a much lower barrier of entry than C and C++, but there's so many libraries out there already in the Arduino ecosystem. Like, converting all the Arduino people over is going to be the hard thing, getting people to learn a new language. I'd much prefer coding in MicroPython, I think, than C. But I just don't know it well enough yet. I always go back to C because of what I know. Off-topic question, have you done anything yet with the tiny FPGA board? No, it's still sitting in a bag. And I feel guilty every time I see it. Hey David, what did I miss? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I feel guilty every time I look at my tiny FPGA board, but I just don't have the capacity, the brain capacity to learn something new right now, or yeah, I've just got too many things I'm juggling. I just need to get over the hurdle of getting some of this stuff out. I need to get my laser segment displays out on Tindy. I need to get my clock finished and get that out. And I want to get my tiny Pico. I feel like I need to clear the deck, especially if I want to make some derivative versions of it. I really feel like I need to. I don't want to start down that road until I've got this sorted. So I just don't have the headspace. I feel bad, but what can I do? What I miss talking with SWI, they could possibly have my boards stored there and shipped directly to customers for a few months, at least. Yeah, there's ways of shipping from China, but I don't know. I don't know how SWI would do that. Shipping final product out one at a time to people who buy. I don't know. I mean, Seed can do that, but with Seed, I'd have to get them to manufacture it, and they'll give me my 15% cut per board, but they make the lion's share of the money on them. So I don't know if I want to do that. Yes, solder paste robots and solder paste printers are a bit of a thing over in China, but they're quite expensive. For good ones, they're quite expensive. So I'm not sure that's an option for me either. I don't know. Maybe just still a manual solder pasting, but using a proper framed stencil with a proper solder paste jig where it uses the suction to hold it down, and you're guaranteed to only have a really thin layer. The problem with what I'm doing right now is there's no suction, there's nothing holding it down. The stencil can move a bit as you're moving it, you get a bit of separation as it happens, and it squeezes the paste out. I'd need something a bit more reliable than that, I think. No, the Volterra, that was actually designed at Hacks, I didn't know that. The problem with the Volterra is it uses a special paste, like that silver paste stuff. I wouldn't be wanting to use that, and it's quite slow to apply it. Yeah. Like the Volterra is great if you're going to do pasting and pick and place and reflow all in the one unit, but they're £3,500 or whatever they are. They're pretty expensive, and they're not fast, so I don't think that's really an option for me either. Just reminded me when I saw the new tiny FPGA EX coming out board. Okay, yeah. I'll get to it. I mean, FPGA is not something I can tinker with, right? It's something I need to learn. Like it's a whole new way of thinking, a whole new way of everything. You finished all your boards, David? Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I might have to get myself something a bit different than my toaster oven for reflowing. I don't know. A lot of questions. There'll be a lot of investment to manufacture myself. I'm not sure. Not sure it's worth it. But just owning a pick and place would be an achievement. If just sat here doing nothing. Any new project for the future before I go? I've got ideas on projects, but nothing I'm going to mention right now, because as I said, I still need to get past all the ones I'm working on now. Um, yeah. Yeah, I need to finish what I've started, all the things I've started. Back. Only 16 likes? Oh well. Oh yeah, Brian, if you feel like liking, that'd be great, but if you don't, that's also cool. Yeah, I need to find some motivation and some time to learn FPGA. And that's just a rabbit hole. So yeah. Did you return home with more questions and answers? Yes, I got some things answered, but I definitely came back with more questions than what I left with. See you, Tutor Kid. Thanks for joining. I have more questions. And also, you know, don't forget everyone, I've got quite a limited runway, like in terms of, like I'm still trying to work out if I can make something sustainable out of this whole process, and right now it's not looking great. So at some point I'm probably going to have to, you know, make all of this a part-time gig and go get a job, I think, or something, because, you know, I'm having fun and I'm learning a lot and I'm doing some really cool stuff on this journey, but it's definitely not a sustainable venture. So investing a whole lot of money in my own equipment makes it less sustainable. You know, it just takes my runway and shortens it dramatically. Puts a lot more pressure on me. FPGA for makers, yeah, sure, but for me it's learning, like, you know, learning FPGA and how it all works and being able to build some stuff with FPGAs. It's not really, I probably wouldn't use FPGAs in any of my projects necessarily, but learning how they work and being able to program one would be pretty cool. Be, you know, good knowledge. For me, this is all about knowledge and building my skill set. It might open a whole new way for me. I don't know, but it's a pretty big gamble. I mean, it's not just the $12,000 or $15,000 for a pick and place. It's a lot more than that. You know, it'd probably end up costing me probably about closer to $30,000 or more to really set myself up to be able to produce. And then what do? Do I start doing contract manufacturing for other people? You know, to try to offset my costs. I don't really want to be a contract manufacturer. I don't want to have the stress or the responsibility of building other people's boards. I think it's going to be hard enough just to build my own. So yeah, there's again some pretty big decisions to make. So a couple of nights in China, I actually I had some pretty vivid dreams of snakes being snakes around my arms, snakes around my legs, kind of weird. And so people were doing some research on what that means, and apparently it's all about big change and big decisions, life-changing decisions is generally what it means for having dreams about snakes. So that was kind of appropriate because I've got some pretty big decisions to make. Sound missed home. What? Or the death noodles. I've never really had vivid dreams like that before. Definitely not to do with snakes. So that was kind of bizarre. I told Yaz and she shut away. SMS'd me back with a whole lot of, you know, descriptions of what it means. So look it up if you're interested. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, designing digital circuits in silicon definitely fits the maker theme, Greg, but it's an extreme level. You know what I mean? You know, for most makers, electronic makers anyway, you know, who are building stuff with electronics, a microcontroller's pretty much fine for most things. Doesn't mean you can't use an FPGA for the same thing, but it's a much more advanced thing that, you know, generally you don't need. Oh, and there goes one of my lights. There you go. My typical 2.5 hours is all I get out of a battery. Time to sell a kidney. I'm kind of attached to my kidney. I'd rather not. I don't know. I can always go to Thailand and get it removed. I'd like to just learn how to use an FPGA. I think it'd be an interesting challenge. But you know, I need a lot of time and headspace for it, and I need a project for it. You know, it's much easier to learn how to use some new technology when you've got a purpose for it rather than just tinkering. Yeah. I think FPGA definitely fits the maker space in terms of, you know, tinkering with electronics and using them in being able to build stuff. But I think it's definitely at the way more advanced level. You know, it's definitely not needed for most makers' projects, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to playing with my logic analyzer, at least learning how to use it. I think it's going to be cool. And I've been learning more about before I left, I was putting some time into my scope, learning more about how to get better results from my oscilloscope. Oh, Brian's back. Hello. Don't remember a tap of it. Bummer. Yeah, I think FPGAs are cool. I saw someone on Twitter. He tweeted at Ben Eder. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's the guy that made the computer on a breadboard. This guy built a gaming computer in an 8-bit computer out of the breadboard, and then actually built a GPU out of an FPGA, which is using from his breadboard computer to the FPGA to go to a screen to be able to display the graphics on an LED display. So, like, that's crazy, building a GPU in FPGAs. And I understand that that's what you can do, but that's, like, well beyond my skill set right now. I don't even know what environment to use for my FPGA. Maybe back. You always have a bedtime epic battles, don't you, Brian? Yes. Kids and sleeping. Such a challenge. Any more questions, folks? Happy to keep answering questions. I might switch my light out. Hold on one second. Cool, we have light again. Not that you can really tell from this angle. Oh, now Leo's off. See you, Leo. Last question. Have you finished your coffee yet? No. There's a little bit left. I'm not sure I want to. Okay, maybe. Ice cold. But I finished my coffee. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, well, if we're out of questions, I am going to, I think, call it. Yeah. Are you ready to do a 5K Q&A live stream? Ooh. Ooh. Is that an invite, Brian? What are you up to? How close are you? You didn't pass it already, did you? Hang on, I've got to look. I feel like I lost touch with everyone while I was in China. Now go and make something unexpected. Oh, 4992. Wow, everyone. Anyone that's on here right now that isn't subscribed to Brian, go subscribe to Brian's channel. I'm trying to find the link. Well, you can post the link. I can't even find you in my list. Maybe I'm not a follower anymore. Maybe not a sub. Where is your channel? Oh gosh, I've got so many people on my list. This is nuts. No wonder I'm not watching any videos anymore. Okay. Can you post your link, Brian? I can't even find you. Thank you. Oh, okay. Peter did it. If you're not... I know most of you are probably already subbed, but if you're not, let's get Brian over 5,000. Woohoo! Come on. We need 8 people. Yes, well, releasing videos would probably help. Okay, I can't find you on my list. That is bizarre. Just too many people. Brian Locke. type it in. It says 4973 here. That's a bit weird. Oh, 4995. Okay. Yes! 5 more! Woo! Thanks, David. Hey, Brian, I just saw a picture of you. How old ago? Oh, 10 months ago. Without your beard. Wow, you look weird. I'm used to seeing you with your beard now. Oh, 4997, come on, we're so close. John wasn't subbed. Dude, that was terrible. Thanks, Christian. Wow, how cool is this? Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, 4998. Must be a lot of people lurking. God, if we can do this live, this would be awesome. 2 more. 2 more. How exciting is this? Wow. Yeah, I need to create another account just so I can sub. So I think it was Tom Scott did a video on how these numbers jump up and down. Yeah, we're stuck on 4998. You know what? Yeah, it goes like when I hit 2000 when I was away, then it dropped to 1999 and I was so upset, and then it went to 2001, then it went to 1999. It just goes up and down all the time, which is fine. It's just nice to see that number. Yeah, 4998. Sorry, mate. We tried. I tried. So close. Oh, 5,000! 5,000! It says 5,000 here. Mine says 5,000. Yep. We did it. Congratulations, Brian. We just got Brian to 5,000 subs. How cool is that? That is nuts. Screenshot and tweet time. Chainsaw. What a cool name. Chainsaw's been lurking. What a great name. That is awesome. Well done, Brian. 5,000 subs. What? We've gone 5,002. Whoa, slow down, everyone. We just need 5,000. Those last 2 subs, you can take them away. We just need 5,000. No, just kidding. We need 5,002 because we're going to lose some subs, aren't we, Brian? Okay, so I guess we're going to be doing a... Let me know when you want to do a Q&A, a live Q&A. That'd be awesome. I'm so excited that just happened on my stream. Well deserved, Brian. Well deserved. What? Chris, were you not subbed? Terrible. Oh, with the second account. Okay. Now you're going to get double videos all the time. Why is my picture so dark? Bit better. Anyway. Okay, folks. I think that's a really great way to end this stream. Unexpected influencer. It was only like 7 subs. not like we changed the world. But anyway, we changed Brian's world. That old Melbourne sun. Yeah, that's not sun. That's my LED light. Okay, we're going to end the stream here on a massive high. Yep. Well done, Brian. Congratulations. Very excited for you. And thank you all for joining. Thanks for your questions. I hope I got everything answered. If you got any more questions that that you want to ask that weren't on here, just put them in the comments and I'll answer. And yeah, we're going to go back to our regular viewing and stuff, whatever. I don't know what even that means. Anyway. Thanks for joining. Have a great day, everyone. Or great evening, great sleep, whichever one you're doing. And look out for my video on Friday. It's a bit of a vlog, weird, kind of. Nothing I've really done on my channel before. It's quite interesting, I think, maybe. I enjoyed making it. Hopefully you enjoy watching it. Catch you later. BGAs, no BGAs. 43 watching, only 23 likes. Happens, Greg. Nothing I can do about it. People just don't like my stuff. What can I tell you? Okay, I'm going. If I can find the stop button. Bye.